Hello, this is Kylie J.N.S. Happy Sunday. And so I want to talk about, the events of what has transpired this week in politics. And we are going to be approaching this from an esoteric point of view. And for those that don't understand what esoteric politics is, for me, when I talk about it, it's us looking beyond the veil of mainstream news to account for uh, mythology and the symbols in the occult and bloodlines that take place within politics. We also touch upon the shadow government of politics. And this is from a perspective of a Nakhtian priestess and mystic, which is myself. And so I want to talk about, again, what this all means in terms of RFK Jr. and Trump linking up. We're going to talk about the Kennedy family's response and the discomfort and all these things that has transpired. And to be honest, I have to say it was a good look for RFK Jr. and Trump to link up in terms of this alliance, whether it's temporary, whether it's purely strategy. And, I do think the optics of it looks great, but even the energy behind it, the energy behind RFK Jr. and Trump linking up catapulted the whole campaign into a new timeline, if you ask me. And I feel that is very important because, to be honest, a couple of weeks ago, they were publishing in a couple of articles that they were they were calling Trump's campaign low energy. It was like Trump's low energy, and it was several articles that had the actual words low energy campaign. And when they were talking about that from an esoteric point of view, they're literally talking about the energy behind the momentum of the campaign, the spirits behind it, all of those things. And at that time when they published it, there was a slump because it was the campaign strategy was kind of revamping itself because Kamala what had became the Democratic candidate, and Biden obviously had stepped down. And so during that transition, there was a low energy period in terms of the scatteredness of the spirits that back certain candidates. Now we get into the occult in this video. This is esoteric politics. We do talk about the occult. And so if you have an issue with that, I just want to, make that disclaimer clear. And so there was a bit of a slump in the energy. I felt that myself. I was like, damn, how did they pick up on that? And so the articles that these were Democratic media apparatuses. They were literally saying Trump's low energy, Trump's low. And let me see if I can find it so you can see an example, because this is how these things are communicated. Low. Let me see if I could actually just pull up an article, because it was like a couple of weeks ago. But let's see. Okay, let's see if I can find it. Okay, so yeah, here we go right here. And so here's something low energy Trump winds his way through an event in county building. How low energy Trump can. So they were trying to put this on him. This is how the occult works. Trump low energy, low. See how you see how this is written out like that? Look at this. Just delivers division in low energy RNC speech. See, they're trying to project. They want him to have this low energy. And so honestly, when they did the assassination attempt, ritual. I'm speaking in code for those who know. Let's be real. That was an infusion of high level energy. They didn't want to admit that, but they know for a fact that he took a lot of the energy and the momentum towards his campaign. As far as the collective consciousness of the people, minds, and spirits, Trump had that. Then Biden announces he's stepping down on July 21st. Kamala comes up. And then you have Venetian black nobility by way of D9 and the black bourgeoisie get excited. That pumped up so much energy back into the Democratic ballpark. Just from the D9 raising that, what was it, like that 3 million in one day, and then for the overall, it was like 81 million in less than 21 hours from all of the Democratic apparatus of the country itself. And so the energy went back, and to be honest, Kamala had a lot of the energy backing because there was a lot of primordial spirits that were convening in terms of like, well, what do we do with this? like how do we approach this? Because to be honest, the selection had already been made. In terms of where we want this country to go, and the things we want to see happen in America for the American people. And to be honest, the alignment and the agenda is more on par with what Trump has. And it's nothing against Kamala at all. Um, this was this they threw this to see if it would stick in terms of even taking Biden out of the race and putting her up. Because with Biden there, I ain't even gonna hold you. Now you want to talk about low energy. They want to sit and project low energy. That was low energy. Biden was low energy, even to the point where the Democrats themselves didn't feel comfortable voting for Biden, and they was kind of dragging their feet, kicking the can across the road, like, damn, we gotta support him, it's our candidate. But they didn't have confidence. That's why they took him out. So they not now you see how they mirror cast. They're the ones with the low energy, but they mirror cast and said, okay, Trump got low energy. Let's switch it and get Kamala up there. Kamala is able to garner higher energy because, to be honest, the Black Americans, before Kamala was announced as the candidate for presidential candidate for the Democrats, a lot of the Black Americans was not going to go with Biden. They were in the middle. Either they were going to stay at home or they're going to go with Trump. And so when Kamala comes as the candidate, there's a lot of Black American women. There's a lot of all of our bourgeoisie, all of the Black bourgeoisie and Black upper class. They're looking like, oh, okay, and they're going to go with Kamala. It just is what it is. I did a video on Rumble about esoteric politics and the breakdown of the bloodlines of Kamala, why she was accepted by Black Phoenician nobility of America in America as an East Indian woman, and Jamaican Coolie, which is Jamaican, West Indian, and Irish is her background. She's not Black American. And so I did an esoteric breakdown on how she was able to get accepted into Black Phoenician nobility by way of, obviously, the Black bourgeoisie elite of in Black America. And so that video was banned from YouTube. What they say with the censorship is real. You see what happened on RFK when he was giving his speech on CNN, and how they smooth took him off the air. So censorship is very real. And even on small levels, small content creators, it happens even more because, a lot of times we're dealing with shadow banning. We're dealing with the algorithm literally has us in a database. It's like, do not promote this content because it's too raw. And so, if you want to get that, it was a 5-hour long. We went deep. We talked about the Brahmin class. We talked about the connections between the Brahmin and the Ashkenazi, the migration from Ethiopia into India, the Nagas. We got so deep, it was unreal. Nagas serpent energies of that infiltrated the Hindu pantheon. We talked about the royal Moors, how they left Ireland and went into Jamaica. We got really, really deep and powerful. Then we talked about even Trump's background of being German and Scottish, and how he's able to work the energy of even some of the Sephardic Moors as well, in terms of the spirits that are backing him. And so, yes, they were going with this low energy thing for a couple of months, and to be honest, they they know that there is a group of Black Americans that is backing Trump, and some of them are backing Trump for a variety of reasons. For me, it is just because of I love the harsh stance on the human and child trafficking. He's taken a very harsh stance on it. And he already has done executive orders on it before in 2016. He already has executive orders against child trafficking, human trafficking, but now he's beefing it up. And so the harsh penalties of what's going to happen to people who mess with children and who harm children. And so that is a reason why a lot of people are backing him. They see some things, and some people is just for business matters. They feel like he is better for the corporation of America in terms of him being a businessman. There's a lot of Black Americans that got businesses, and they benefit from those tax cuts. They benefit from him being in there. They think he's able to. It's not even the numbers speak for themselves in terms of how the economy was looking up until they ran the pandemic psyop. The economy was in really great shape. We all know that's like objective facts, the economy. So there's people that care more about the economy, and they say, well, I'll roll that way because I like the way the economy was. I like the way my stock portfolio looked. I like the way the tax cuts I experienced, the opportunity zones that I benefited from. There are people that are thinking like that, and they have that right. But the DNC is aware of that there is a shift even amongst the authenticates, which you guys would say is grassroots, everyday normal Black Americans that are like, my 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 mind's eye is telling me, that this democratic machine is not really benefiting us. Let's try something new, or let's just people could say it's the lesser two evils or whatever. However you look at it, I think that would be fair. But people have to make the decisions that are in their best interest, whether they were going to go with a third party, whether they were not going to vote at all, or whether they're going to go for Kamala or Trump. But as far as like the low energy thing, that's done with. As far as that narrative that they're running with, the low energy is not in Trump's campaign anymore as of now. Now we got 3 months, 11, we got about 3 months, less than 3 months, right? And so this linkage with RFK Jr., that infused a lot of energy. We're talking about the Kennedy dynasty. That's why his family came out, got really upset at him. But we're talking about the Kennedy dynasty, or heir of the Kennedy dynasty, who has historically been liberal, or historically, been backed by DNC, not in the way that was fair, because the DNC had been screwing him over for a long time. But he was a part of had access to that establishment, rather, because he wasn't chosen. He wasn't a chosen candidate by them. And I'll get into why esoterically. And he realized, it's 2024. It's a lot going on. They know that the stakes in terms of the shadow aspect of this government is high, in terms of who's going to get in that power, who's going to get that power, who's going to get that access, who's going to have control over the way our intelligence agencies run, the wars we get in, the wars we pull out of the way we take care of our American people, the foreign policies, our military. Like this is serious stuff here. And there's people that are trying to get access to the fronts of this country that don't necessarily, that could care less how it goes. I'm not saying that about Kamala or anybody, but I'm aware, even spiritually, that there are nefarious actors that are in politics, that have already sold this country out, that have made backdoor deals with adversarial, I won't say enemies, but adversarial characters. It's a lot of shady stuff that goes on in politics, and everybody knows that. But even the shadow aspect of our government, there's something where they want to shake up, and their idea of a reset looks very different from even what is publicly known. And we talk about the Great Reset. We know some aspects of their plan was to floodgate this country with a new set of people, a new set of energy, obviously by way of immigration. And that was to build a whole base of people, I would say a whole base of people who are more malleable, and it can be placated better than the old vanguard American people who have been here, whether that be since the 1700s, 1600s, 1800s. They feel like there's a clash between the shadow government and the actual vanguard base of America. And so they were like, okay, we're not really getting no shake with them. We're going to have to just bring in a bunch of, new people. We have to be, as far as the Americans that have been here, you've seen the changes of America throughout the decades. Baby boomers, silent generation, millennials, like what's the other one? The Generation X. Like you've seen the changes in the administrations, the policies that, and you see how many of it has went downhill. There's a lot of things that we know, the people that have been here for hundreds of years, and we know even our own history. And so there's a lot of what they feel is demand coming from old vanguard America. Okay, you're demanding too much, you know too much, you're not malleable enough, you're not falling for the simulation, you're not falling for the okey doke, especially Black Americans. And so it's like, well, uh, we'll replace, we'll replace and with a new group of people that have a sense of desperation, a new group of NPCs that are not going to question so much, that are just happy to even be here with the opportunity in America, and we'll give them all of the benefits very rather quickly to be able to catapult them in a position that to even be one day over the old Vanguard Americans themselves. That's why when they came over, they give them $14,000 debit card, access to different. I mean, they even talking about like giving zero down on homes and covering the closing costs for home ownerships for illegal immigrants in California just alone. And so this is all spiritual in a sense, in terms of like how you build up a new base that's going to run the matrix, run this simulation, run this 3D American, infrastructure. And I am talking spiritual for those that may feel like, okay, I want to just hear more politics. We will get there. But that's what they think. And so they are willing to like undercut, like if long as they get their agenda and needs met, and they have the manpower to infiltrate that or to get that done. And that requires, from their perspective, to bring in a whole new set of people. That's backfiring. And so a lot of people are realizing that, and they're like, well, we ain't really cool with our foreign policy being so open like that. As we talk about the open borders, and how anybody could just walk over through here and then just get access to all the housing, food, jobs, and all this stuff. And then there's like a bunch of American people that are homeless, a bunch of American people that are struggling, a bunch of American people that are applying for 80 jobs. I remember there was a story that just went viral of a black person, a black American, literally saying, I applied for 200 jobs, went to, I think he said 20 interviews, and did not get not one job. And like there's situations like that. There are people there are people that say they applied for 50 jobs, all types of stuff, different, only for another person to come in from a different country and just be able to get that job. Now, how is that happening? That's happening through a system of check and balances, in a way of, okay, you're in and you're out. This person is in, this person is out. And they have a very systematic way of looking at that. And it's kind of automated in a sense. It's very much automated. And it's very hard to explain in that sense. But when we talk about like high level technologies and high level algorithms and AIs, and even when you apply online for these applications, and how they can weed out a candidate, and how this AI stuff can weed out candidates and weed out applications and all that, and pick naturally like which one is which. They have all this different data, big data. And so they're able to automate this in such a way where, okay, you're in, you're out. You're in, you're out. You will get the loan, you will not get the loan. You will get the mortgage, you will not get the mortgage. You will get accepted into the school, you will not get accepted into the school. You will get this job, you will not get this job. And when these things happen on a large scale, people recognize patterns. And so Americans are recognizing patterns, that we are getting the short end of the stick in this system, and our government is not looking out for us. That's the perception, at least of the last 4 years, as Biden has been in office, that our government is not looking out for us. Our government does not have our best interest at heart. Can we even trust the government? We've caught them in lies. We've caught them in things. And so there's a lot of people that's kind of like, we need somebody that will challenge the status quo, at least, that will challenge the establishment, even if they are a part of the establishment. Will they at least, have they at least garnered enough primordial energy where they have the hearts and minds of the people, and the respect of the people? But are they going to at least get something done, at least challenge a little bit of something? And so, to be honest, that's all people looking for. It had it been anybody, it could have been Kamala. If she was doing that, people are going to naturally gravitate for what is in their best interest, but also for those who can talk the talk, walk the walk. And so, you know, Trump right now is the people's favor. You can get mad at it. You can say it's not true. You can say that's not right. You can have a value judgment. just assessing it. They just had a people's it was like a people's choice poll on Twitter. Elon Musk had put out the question, "Who are you voting for?" And it was like millions upon millions of people who voted in this like this little makeshift poll. It was just literally just a happenstance, like, "Hey, who are you going to vote for?" And we're talking about like 80% said Trump, and then 20 something percent said Kamala. I think it might have went down to 77% by the time like the final polls. But we're talking about 77% of millions and millions of people saying that they're going to vote for Trump. And then, I think hers might have been in at 29%, 30%. And so people were suspecting that that is a more accurate depiction of a poll versus what, say, the polls that you'll see in mainstream media that have been trying to uh, make it seem as if they have an equal footing, or that when we're talking about what is their sample number with these polls, like maybe say like a Pew Research, the poll would be like what, a sample of 300 people, a sample of 400 people. But when you have like that little poll that Elon Musk put up, we're talking about several million people. That's a large sample of the American population. That's a large sample of the American population. I don't care what nobody say. And so just even that alone kind of lets you know, like, even when you look at the rallies, the anecdotal, even if we didn't have to do any empirical research, but just the anecdotal level of when you look at the turnouts in the rallies, the energy of the rallies. And so DNC had their convention this week. Let's be real. This RFK Jr. and Trump alliance, and RFK coming out to give his speech, that overshadowed the whole DNC convention. It literally did. It literally overshadowed the entire the entire convention. And that was kind of like shocking to me. Not that they linked up, but just that it went that viral. Just that that it overshadowed, because I know that there was some scuttlebutt that Beyonce would be performing at the convention, and people were waiting for that. I guess some people had tuned in thinking that she would perform, and she had performed for Hillary in 2016, so I guess it didn't seem like a far-fetched thing. uh, I don't remember hearing about the rumor myself, because I wasn't paying attention into all of that. But they were saying that that they put that out, that Beyonce would be performing at the DNC convention, and she didn't perform. um, and that's interesting, because if that was put out there like that, I'm not gonna hold you, it would have been believable. Like, I would have thought that too. Like, okay, yeah, she's gonna perform. And so maybe they did ask her. Like, I don't know how that got out there in terms of that rumor. So maybe they did approach her team, and maybe they were trying to work through the logistics, and they just couldn't seal the deal. They couldn't come to an agreement to actually get her out there. So maybe it was something. I don't think they just made that up. Maybe they did just make a complete lie up like that. I mean, they wouldn't be far fetched, but it's like maybe they did reach out, and they were trying to get something going to have her there, and maybe it couldn't happen, or she said, "No, I'm good." I don't know. And a lot of these celebrities, they really don't want to touch this election. If you notice, like I remember when they had brought out Glorilla, they bring it out, to try to endorse a candidate, and a lot of them are kind of like, no, they try to get Kai Cenat to endorse, and so a lot of people, it seems like they either want to be neutral, and they don't really want to, they want to be entertainers. They don't really want to talk about politics. And at one point, we talked about like how and back in the day, they used to just tell you to just vote. Like, then we had this vote or die campaign, right? And so the celebrities would just tell you to vote, but they never told you who to vote for. And so that changed around, I want to say maybe 2012. I want to say maybe to 2012, maybe it could have been 2008. What started in 2008, the 2008 election, where they would just started telling you who to vote for. And that kind of set a precedent, especially with Obama and being the first melanated president, person of color, to run. And so that set a precedent of having influencers tell you who to vote for. And so they're still trying that strategy in 2024, but it's not working because it makes people more suspicious when celebrities who do not know politics largely, who don't ever speak up about politics, except for on the election cycle. Now all of a sudden you want to tell us who to vote. So it actually looks more suspicious now, versus back in the day, maybe people would be influenced by that. It's not as influential because people don't even really care about the celebrity stuff, opinions for politics. They don't. And that's more of the awakening of the American people and a prioritizing of where they're going to get their information from and their data from. It's just as simple as that. It's a very logical approach in terms of like, do we put our stake into what a celebrity that smokes lean all day or drinks lean all day, or who they're backing? Do we really even care? And so this is what the average American is saying. So when they try to push out these influencers to say, oh, go vote for Kamala, vote for Trump or whatever, we're kind of like, we want to just see the policies. We want to just see like, what are you going to do for the American people? And then we'll go based on that. And we'll go based on your likability, your genuine, your record, your past as well, the things you have already done, your history. Those are the things that people are looking at. And it's a very smart choice. This is not, it's a very methodical and pragmatic approach, if you ask me. And when we think about like even the esoteric politics and the way in which presidents are selected, presidents run, candidates even get into those positions, we have to know that on some level they will be establishment. There are protocols that you have to go through. You're running a corporation, but you still have what would be the equivalent of shareholders that have a dictate in what you do and what you say, and what policies get enacted. Obviously, that's the check and balances of what you know about the government itself, the legislative branch, the judicial branch, but also the shadow government. The power, those that actually run it interdimensionally, those that have an influence on it just on a spiritual level. And there is a spiritual component to how the government is ran. And that to me is common knowledge based on what I know. But I do know that the average American is not kind of keen on all that stuff yet, and that's fine. But for those of us that's in the know, we know that the politics at the highest level is the game of the occult, the game of ritual, and mythology. And we see how these things play out. They throw all types of symbols out and all types of hidden codes and to communicate with one another. I mean, they were literally calling Trump low energy Trump. Trump does actually, let me share it here. He does a whole interview and he says we're dealing with evil forces that are very energetic, and that Trump and that Biden is ran by. Let me just share it because that was deep. That was deep, and I'm like, let me just go here. Did y'all hear what happened with the founder of Telegram, the CEO of Telegram, Paro Durov? I find it disgraceful what they did to him, but let's hope he gets out. But anyways, let's see if I can find that. Oh man, I should have. Okay, it'll come up soon because I know I just saw it. So I mean, I know it's going to take probably less than 30 seconds. Where is that? Okay, here we go. So I'll play this.
That you can think of in this journey you've been on the last several years?
You have to be very strong.
You have to see if you're running for candidate. You have to be very strong.
You're fighting off very evil
You're
forces,
fighting off very evil forces.
and they're very smart forces.
They're very smart forces.
There are people that control Biden.
There are people that control Biden. I mean, I don't have to. Let me just hear you. I don't have to do all that. I don't have to co-sign.
Totally true. I think I know who they are largely.
So he thinks he knows who they are largely. My thing is, this went viral. As Americans, y'all should have been asking, who are they? Tell us. I want to know myself because I don't know what I'm getting into. I want to know myself. Who are they? Because he said he thinks he knows who they largely are. He's not. He probably can't tell. That's probably classified information, right? But that's interesting that he said that. It's very interesting. Now watch this part.
But there are people that control. They're very smart, very energetic.
Very energetic. So that is a code. When you say forces and energetic, that means that is something that is beyond that. We're starting to get into the paranormal, the supernatural forces. What is forces and energy? And so when I'm talking about the esoteric politics, it's not so far fetched when we talk about the occult and bloodlines and the orders and how this stuff is ran interdimensionally, and even the history of America and how the American government is set up and how it's always been set up. And so once we can merge those two, and it's going to take some years before Americans truly understand what is a monarchy, what is an oligarchy, how do you merge to what is a democratic republic, because we still talk about democracy and all these things. It's going to take some time, but we'll get there.
Possibly they're real believers, what their sick ideology is.
What is the hardest, darkest moment?
Okay. And so, I just wanted to share that. But yes, it does. There is an aspect of this that is totally interdimensional. And that is the part that is being hidden. But it is something that if with enough research and with enough of an open mind and even an open eye, open third eye, you'll quite see how these things play out. And so RFK Jr. and Trump linking up. Smart move. It was a smart move. It really was. They were shitting on RFK. The DNC was shitting on RFK all this time. They were not going to ever allow him to actually win the nomination of the Democratic Party, even though he would be the people's choice. They weren't ever going to allow it. And it's unfortunate. But why weren't they ever going to allow it? Why weren't they ever going to allow it? The epigenetics. Now we're going to talk about bloodlines. The epigenetics of JFK's legacy and what JFK represented and stood for. Now, I thought this might have been his son, or they're saying it's the uncle or whatever. Whatever it is, it's still a dynasty. The Kennedy family is a dynasty. They're bloodliners. They're bloodliners. And I'll speak in code, and I won't get into what all of that is. I cover a lot of that in my body of work in terms of what kind of bloodlines certain families belong to, where they descend from. We go very deep into that in terms of like the dissensions of certain pharaohs, certain I won't even go there. Nimrod, I'll just say a couple of names: Nimrod, Osiris, and there's certain bloodlines that feel that they descend from certain founding emperors and royalty. But nonetheless, Kennedy family is a dynasty, and they are clicked in with the establishment and with the DNC. Many of them run under, a Democratic ticket, generally. And so RFK Jr. was not chosen by the establishment because of the epigenetics of what JFK had done. Now, they still look at them as bloodliners, and they still allow them access to the establishment and access to everything that is afforded to them for that bloodline. However, they have been very methodical in keeping them out of another White House position, a presidential position. Because when JFK got in there, you see how he had switched up and said he's going to go after the secret societies. He's going to go after the corruption. He's going to bring more fair things. And he was not perfect. And they all are raised as monarchs. And so they get it. We know some of the things that they have done in the way that they were groomed and bred, even as children. I'll just say that. And so I can see spiritually some things that JFK has done. But as far as going rogue, yes, he did go rogue. And we saw the consequences of going rogue like that. And so when it comes to like epigenetics and how the establishment looks at those things, they take it very serious. They don't just think, okay, this is a verse in the Bible that says the sins of the father fall on the child and whatnot. Whether or not you believe that, the concept is whatever's in your epigenetics and your memory, your collective memory of consciousness from the DNA itself, it will get passed down to the children. So that means even the qualitative aspects of your character The qualitative aspects of your character gets passed down to your children. Now what they try to do with a lot of bloodliners is program them with handlers, or program them with that could be monarch programming. And when a bloodliner family goes rogue like that, even if they know it's just one person that just go rogue, and we talking about JFK goes rogue, that to them is very serious in terms of like the rest of the family that falling on the rest of the family when it's about the JFK curse and all this stuff. And the non-delivery on a specific aspect of a pact or a contract. Now we're getting very esoteric here. And so that energy of someone just saying, fuck it, I'm gonna go after I'm tired of these secrets, we do it. That energy they look at has now been transferred to all of the heirs, whether that be the nephew, the younger nephew, the sons, whatever. They look at that as like, okay, yeah, y'all still family or whatnot. Y'all still bloodliners. We still look out for you. You play your role. You know, we family, but y'all ain't gonna ever get in that motherfucking White House again. Even if they're rightfully due, even if they're very likable, you know. And that's how they view it, because they feel like, okay, RFK Jr. It's a possibility that he'll go rogue like that again. He's not as controllable. And so that's why they never, wanted to take a bet out on RFK Jr., even though he would have been probably extremely well liked based off of policies and the things that he stands for. Charisma wise, I don't really get a lot of charisma, but as far as like some of the things he was talking about, as far as especially like tackling like these chemicals in the food and American food system, and just dealing some of the things that he stand for, a lot of people like, okay, I could get with that, I can respect that. But for whatever reason, it's not even for whatever reason, but for the reasons that I told you, the DNC just would not budge and give him his fair shake. And he called them out. He called them out and said, you know what? Fuck it. I'll make an alliance with Trump. And in exchange for, endorsing Trump, he wanted him to apologize for Operation Warp. He wanted Trump to apologize for Operation Warp Speed. And he wanted to be able to oversee, I believe it's something that has to do with childhood obesity, children, and certain medications and whatnot. I can't remember exactly what it all said entailed, but nonetheless, for that endorsement, I think that was fair. We did not get the apology yet for Operation Warp Speed, and I'm going to say this to Trump just as a strategist, and for the Republican think tanks who monitor my content. I do think that's a good idea. I don't think Trump even may have realized how much his base was very puzzled and very unfavored to that Operation Warp Speed. A lot of, like, I'm telling you, like, that made people think, okay, Trump is establishment. And for one, we always knew that. But for people who really just thought he was just some rogue, just some rogue guy that just really, that kind of freaked him out, a lot of his following. Trump may not be on the ground enough to actually see that. I see that. And so Operation Warp Speed, that kind of dampened, I would say, Trump's legacy among even his own base. And I do think that the apology could actually smooth that over. I really do. And so if RFK Jr. asks you to do that, to apologize for Operation Warp Speed, believe it or not, your base itself would appreciate that. Your base, Trump's base. Because I'm telling you, a lot of us, we weren't even with that shit. We were never bought into it. And so if we didn't value that, or we weren't even going to take the acceleration and development of that particular medication, it's not a bragging point for you. It's really not, because your base was against it. And not just your base, but now, RFK Jr. has asked you, like, can you apologize for Operation Warp Speed? And you don't have to, lament, but you say, you know what, in hindsight, Operation Warp Speed, we gave people the choice, and you said you say I would have never, it was always a choice. I would have never allowed mandates. I would have never allowed you. You guys know I was against mandates. You guys know had I won in 2020, this would have been something that was optional, and it would have never rolled out that way. And so we're talking about intentions and outcome, but the intentions and the outcome was different because you weren't even in office at the point to even implement Operation Warp Speed in the way that in which you may have wanted to. And so maybe you can talk about that as well. But I do think that an apology, more so um, for people who are even affected, that took it and are affected of the side effects, something like that can go a long way. And I have to say that if that was one thing that I was always against, was if there's one thing that I really did not like, it would have been Operation Warp Speed. And so I do agree that an apology would suffice, and that would, as far as RFK Jr. said but it was a rumor that RFK Jr. said that would be the stipulation under which he endorses you. I didn't see the apology yet. Let me see. Maybe there is an apology on it yet, and I just didn't find it yet. Nope, I don't see any. But here's what I'm talking about for those who may not understand what I'm talking about. But it says RFK says Trump endorsement depends on Operation Warp Speed. And so I think he gave the endorsement anyways. They probably talked behind the scenes about something, how they do. But the Kennedy campaign has not confirmed any alliance with Trump, which I think they have now. But it was contingent upon specific assurances and accountability. And so I do think having that accountability for Operation Warp Speed, for one, will make you even more likable, because then it's like, okay, you don't look invincible. And it is something where it's relatable. Like, we all make mistakes. Americans make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. And so if you were to just say, in hindsight, Operation Warp Speed catapulted the environment for mandates that you were totally against because you were not even in office. And for that, it was a mistake. It needed further development. And another thing you could say is it needed further development. And what else? It was a trying time for everyone, and people wanted solutions, and people wanted the lockdowns to be over. People wanted their lives back. And so at the time, you thought that if we can speed this thing up, then then people can get on with their lives. But it was always supposed to be a choice, and it was never supposed to be mandates. And it was never supposed to be lockdowns. You didn't agree with lockdowns. And you could say things like that, but the accountability of that will look good. That's what I have to say. And so I do think that RFK Jr. is correct on that, to ask to call it out, because honestly, there are people that are in your base that kind of was hurt, to be quite frank, very hurt that you were jumping on it, because they wanted you to see you take a stance against it, a more hardline stance. That's just how they feel. And I don't know if you knew that. Or if your team knew that. You had a lot of snakes in your team, and so who knows, they could have been feeding you information at that time. There was a lot of snakes, and so we'll see if there's any addressing of Operation Warp Speed within the next couple of weeks. But another thing is RFK Jr.'s family disowning him, trying to say like, oh, we disagree with you endorsing him. I don't know. Like, I don't know if they held something over their head to get them to. Y'all don't turn against family. Like, my thing is, people are individual units of awareness. So RFK Jr. is his own person. Yeah, family matters and all this stuff, but he has been dicked around by that DNC. Everybody knows it. The whole Kennedy family has been being dicked around, to be honest. By the DNC. So if he makes an executive decision to stand up for himself and shake shit up after not getting a fair shake, he has that right. And just off of policies alone, just the things that the thing is, he asked to meet with Kamala last week. I just did a video on it. Let me pull it up. I did a video talking about how there was a rumor that he was trying to seek out a meeting with Kamala. And y'all published that all in the media to kind of embarrass him. Let's be real. Like, y'all put that out there like, oh, he asked for a meeting. He asked for a meeting so that he can get a cabinet position. Y'all try to make him look thirsty. Like, it was like, it just was weird the way y'all had worded that. It really was. It was like y'all try to, I remember reading it thinking like, oh, y'all trying to make it seem like he just a slithering snake trying to go meet with Kamala in secret so that he can get a cabinet position. That's literally how these articles was being published. And so when I saw it, and I said that in this video right here, was published 9 days ago. It says Weekly Tarot, RFK Jr. tries to meet with Kamala Harris. Now, a week before that, I actually predicted that there would be very two powerful people, and I thought that they were at a government level or presidential level, because I thought it would have been Trump and Kamala, but it was RFK Jr. and Kamala. And so, I actually saw this the week before it actually happened. So this is just a review of that. But RFK Jr., he tried to meet with her, and to me, that looked like a snub. The way it was published all in the media, I don't think I might. It kind of gave snub vibes. It was like a snub, and I think that I think that he realized that too. Like, wait a minute, the way y'all published this, hold up. And so it hit him. I think it hit him that, this DNC don't really fuck with me. They don't really fuck with me. And I've been Democratic and all this stuff and rolling with them for all these years. And I know that I can be a good president. I want to be the president. I want to run and have a fair shake. And they don't let me be the main nominee. And that's what he's feeling. And it's like, fuck it. Let's make a power move, and let's talk some business with Trump and see, okay, let's see what, I could bring to the campaign. I'll give you the endorsement. I'll take my name off of 10 of the ballots in the swing states. But he's still on it. He just suspended his campaign in certain states. Like, he's still running technically, because I guess he wants to wait for more of those stipulations for Trump to meet. But in the swing battle states, he's removing his name so that he doesn't take votes away from Trump. And so, because I guess they did like some sort of simulation and realized like it would have been somewhat of a split with RFK still on the ballot in certain key states. And so I suppose that's the agreement, was to remove the name off of the 10 states, battleground states, swing states, and then have him still on the other in other states. But that may change. I got a feeling that may change. And so look at this. It says, our Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says that the mainstream media accuses them of engineering Harris' rise. That's totally true. They engineer. I mean, come on. I don't think. I mean, these people don't play. They own the technocracy. They own the big media. If they say you in, you in. If you out, you out. They have the ability to shadow ban a motherfucker. They have the ability to censor. And we literally saw them censoring his speech, right? As soon as he was saying they're censoring me and and then all you see the camera zoom off of the speech. There are people that are much more competent. There are people that are much smarter. There are people that are much more strategic, that deserve a shake. And we know that this DNC, and we know that the government itself, we know that these technocracy and these apparatuses, they will bury those type of people. They bury if you won't play ball, if you won't get in line with them, if they can't control you. That's pretty much, if they can't be your handler, or if you won't bulge, you could have better ideas from them. They're not even qualified to be your handler. They're not even qualified to control you. They don't have this spiritual energy. They're not a source player. They don't have the soul. They don't have the intelligence. They don't have nothing that qualifies them to run you, to be your handler, to be nothing, to get you to take some oath for anything. But and they know that, but it makes them angry, and they say, okay, we'll just make sure that your stuff never sees the light of day. We'll just make sure that you get shadow banned, and that we whatever. You will put your motherfucking ass on a watch list and have your ass in a psychological no touch torture program if you keep it up. this is what they do to really brilliant people, or really people, not people with a lot of integrity, source players, people with soul, or people that have the ability to go rogue, the potential to go rogue, even if it's a monarch bloodliner such as Robert F. Kennedy. You know, they still see him like, you went rogue. You're not we yeah, you may toe the line, and yeah, you still a part of the club, but you won't get our nominee for president. We don't care how much your father or your uncle had already been president. They don't give a shit about that, because they still look at him as, okay, JFK. We know what you did. You got the epigenetics of JFK. You got that. That's a patriarch's DNA, and their patrilineal the patrilineal DNA is going to go through the male. So in each male, this epigenetics is being passed down, the qualitative aspects of the character, not just the literal DNA of the hereditary aspects of diseases or genes or looks, obviously the actual looks and whatnot, but the actual character. They know this. They know the gematria. They know all of this. And if you want an example, look at how Tupac, they saw what his mother did, Assata Shakur, right? They had Tupac on a fucking watch list since he was 8 years old, off of the strength of what his mother did, off of his mother. No lie. They punished Tupac. They had been watching Tupac since he was 8 years old. Now, they groomed him to be an entertainer and groomed him for that life. But when he started buckling up again, talk about kill Illuminati, and they're talking about they going to go and he's going to go against the establishment. What did they do? They already knew. They already suspected. I'm like, okay, your mother, Assata Shakur, had you in fucking prison, was a Black Panther, doing all this ruckus, causing all this ruckus. Brilliant fucking woman. She didn't go down to Lincoln Law School and got all the Black Panthers off just from study, just off of her dome of understanding the law. She taught herself. She's a self-taught lawyer, And so it's like, oh, you got to watch your son. He was on a watch. Literally, you can look at this up yourself. He was on a watch list since he was 8. Malcolm X's grandson, which was somebody I was in communication with. Even the day before he died, we had a last message. I'm pretty sure that I got locked out of that Facebook account, but I'm pretty sure they had monitored that. They've been monitoring that account and see like the day before he had passed, me and him had spoken. When he got killed in Mexico, we had been talking, not dating or anything, but just chatting, just talking, and going back and forth about things. And Malcolm X's grandson was also on a watch list since he was, I want to say like 5. They been monitoring that boy. I mean, and we're talking about like having psychologists, talk with him and all types of monitoring, because of him, off of the strength that he was Malcolm X's grandson. And they had, if you look at the files in the report of what the social workers and what the psychologists had reported on him, they said he is extremely, disturbingly brilliant, extremely brilliant, and way too calculated. Like, he's very calculating, and they had said that, like literally in the report. And we're talking about of Malcolm X's grandson. That was one of the reports. I remember reading it. Now, the first time I heard him speak, I didn't even read that report. I heard him speak. I said, okay, he has I'm attracted to natural intellect, people that are naturally gifted intellectually. And so I could see that it's a spirit. A spirit of intellect is a spirit. And so I noticed that on him, like when I was like, I want to say I was like 20 years old. And I was like, man, that you got the same thing out, that saying that you're naturally attracted to that. And so I said, you know what? I watched this video you did. You're talking about Black Americans and Black Americans and getting out of our situation. And I appreciate that. And, that's how we started going back and forth and talking and whatnot about Black Americans. And then he got killed. He got detained by the FBI on the airport, and then he went to Mexico, and then they stabbed. That was all set up. You already know how that happens. That works because he was starting to try to build alliances between the Middle East and Black Americans. That's a no-no. Now, mind you, at that time, they weren't given. They know how to censor people now. See, so back then, where you get a spurt of a happenstance of light source energy. Say, Malcolm X just gets to where he's at, or MLK, Zora Neale Hurston, James Baldwin. those people were able to just get there because there was orchestration even on how they were, but they lost control over their programming as well. And I want to say that because we all know that we saw pictures of Martin Luther King with the Rothschilds and all this stuff. Let's not be stupid. Like we know how this stuff is engineered. The founder of Sears went into the hood of Harlem and started picking out the most gifted Black Americans to build them up in writing and the arts. And so we see the Harlem Renaissance. A lot of this stuff it is social engineering, high level programming. It's not necessarily all sinister, right? It's not necessarily all a bad thing. It can be for a bigger agenda, but again, humans are humans, and you can't program them like a fucking robot or like a doll or something. You know, they have souls. You know, so they're thinking. They're gonna start thinking, and they're gonna realize. You know, you have them. They go rogue. So like Martin Luther King went rogue. What did they do when he went rogue? So this is what happens. So by the time Malcolm X's grandson was doing his work, a lot of people don't even know the work he was doing. He was trying to build connections in Africa for Black Americans. He was letting them know what was going on. Now, I had to say, the Middle Easterns, they look like they didn't give a fuck. I ain't even gonna hold you. It looked like they just did. I remember watching that stuff. I was following him. You know, like I like this. I like the way he was talking. I understand what he did with Betty Shabazz and all that. You know, I studied it. I studied everything, so I already know what happened with that situation. He was a little ass kid. And you know, however you look at that is how you look at that. But I do have to say, when he was doing that work in the Middle East, it did look like they just did not give a fuck about what he was talking about. And I remember not liking that, that he was spending his time in that manner. I felt like it could have been a different way. But it, you know, I guess because he figured those were Muslim countries, you know, he's Muslim, whatever, that was the best bet. But I felt that they just didn't give a damn. And so, you know, that's neither here nor there. But anyways, they had been watching Malcolm X's grandson for a very long time as well, since 8 years. I mean, they were monitoring. Trying to think of anybody else. MIA. Y'all remember the artist MIA, who's going through a lot right now, sending positive energy out to her. She's going through a lot with this administration and the things that, the way that she can even move as far as getting back to her country and all this stuff because of some of the policies in this country, and even much more sinister things behind the scenes. And the media's labeling her crazy. Y'all got to stop falling for that, man. These people don't be crazy. But anyways, MIA, she gets what she's going through right now is off of the strength of them trying to monitor her and keep a tight lock on her. That's why she can't leave the country even though she wants to, and then the things they're doing with her and her children because of her father. Her father was a revolutionary. Her bloodline, you know, her father was a revolutionary in his country. And they had this thing of sticking up. That's why they already knew that was in her epigenetics. And you see how she was constantly speaking out. Yeah, and then what they do, the powers that be, is anybody that speaks up about certain things, they'll have to hurry up and try to tether a situation in which they can be undermined. And usually that's to use Black Americans. Usually it's to use something that they've done or that they said and use it, take it out of context to get Black Americans to delegitimize the person, because they can't do it on themselves because they're so corrupt. The cabal is so corrupt that it's hard to actually demonize a person that's speaking out against injustice. So the only way you can get them to demonize themselves is if they, quote unquote, look racist. They throw out the articles out there. Oh, she said this about Black people, which I see the play for what these people do, and they always go and harness Black Americans' energy to cast a shadow on the other group of people. They do this with so many people, it's not even funny. And they do this with Black Americans and each other, of course. But that's the source energy that's powering America. And so unfortunately, we don't see the ways in which my people gets manipulated quite a bit. We're getting there though. We're waking things up. But I just want my people to understand that the cabal oftentimes will orchestrate, this could be just through simple MK Ultra ritual, will orchestrate a situation in which they can label the person that they want to demonize or attack racist. Say, oh, look what they said about Black Americans, look what they said about Black people, to get you to do the fighting for them, the proxy warfare of the canceling. The cabal really can't cancel a motherfucker. They always have to find a way to get them to turn on Black Americans and then have Black Americans do the canceling. That's the energy transfer. They did the same thing with Kanye West. See, a lot of people See, a lot of Black Americans, you know, it was like half the Black Americans canceled Kanye West, half the Black Americans didn't cancel Kanye West. So that was a hard one to do, but they really was trying to get it. Okay, look, he made the Lord of White Lives Matter shirt, which was a esoteric code from 5e chess. The average American will not ever be understanding what white and black means in the occult. They don't understand what that means. And so he was sending out a code on another level, but then they obviously, for Black Americans, that gets you all riled up. Okay, you cancel him because they need y'all to be able to do it, us Black Americans, because they're not going to be able to do it. But MIA, her situation is also, as far as the difficulties that she's dealing with our government, the gang stalking, the illegal harassment, the no touch psychological warfare that they are doing on MIA, and I can recognize this shit. She's in debt with billionaires, very powerful people in very powerful places, very, very, very powerful. And she got involved with them, and I know she probably thought she hit a lick and was getting the bag, and I got the bag, ooh, you know, because she got with that man that's the son of a billionaire. And I'm pretty sure right now she realized it was her worst nightmare, getting involved with bloodliners and getting involved with certain bloodlines. And so that was a worst nightmare, and she's probably realizing that now. But the stuff that she's going through is they want to keep tight dibs on her because she speaks out too much about things. She was, at least. She was. And it wasn't going viral, believe it or not, because they were started to shadow ban her and censor the fuck out of her. So you had to actually go and study this, and you have to be at a certain frequency to even understand what the hell's going on. But they are punishing her off the strength of like, okay, here go the epigenetics jumping out. The epigenetics of her father is jumping out on her. She want to talk about human rights and fighting for our freedoms and all that. Oh, okay. Get her ass. And they do this to so many people. It's been done to me off the strength of even just on a small level. It don't even have to be someone that's so influential and got a big old following, whatever. It could be something that your parents did or your father did, or whether that mean the establishment will take it out on you or try to make you pay for it, or they try to do a commerce swipe and get you to pay for it, or they'll watch, or they will try to groom you to go into their direction, especially if certain prana that is extremely powerful. They'll try to groom you into a certain direction. And if you end up going rogue, and that's when they'll come after you. And so with RFK Jr., you know, they are punished. I just wanted to give you guys an example of what this looks like, of this idea of epigenetics and how the establishment treats that of certain people that have certain bloodlines and have the potential to influence. And so obviously Kennedy RFK coming from the Kennedy family, you know, he's been monitored, he's been watched. Every move that he ever has been taking could possibly even been planned. And this is how serious this stuff is. We talk about monarchs. Nonetheless, he has enough autonomy or enough awareness to know that certain things are not right, and he speaks out about certain things he would like to see in his country, certain policies, and that's a problem for them. And so it's like, okay, yeah, you could talk about, you know, whatever you talking about, but you ain't about to win. You ain't about to win no motherfucking presidential election. So let's actually look at his stuff, you know, because he's running. Look at his policies. He got a policies event, you know, and why wasn't he the people's choice? Like, you know what I mean? Like, left, like he said, left isn't better, right isn't better, better is better. He's independent, a two-party system. So he is independent. It's we the people, not we the corporation. So we understand he's coming at the oligarchy. To be honest, that may have been a mistake. It's just strategically, the corporations do run America. Let's just be real. I do think it's important for any president that runs to bridge to push against the oligarchy, but to understand that it's better to have them in your pocket, and it's better for you guys to negotiate on some of the things that you guys are going to do for the American people that are as a win-win. And as well as a policy that benefits the business class and the corporations itself, sometimes you may have to look the other way of certain things. Granted, if it's not going to harm the American people or the water or the planet, you know, as far as the deregulations of certain shit, and, you know, making sure, you know, I get it. Because then you're coming up against stuff that I mean, let's be real. If you don't have the oligarch in your back pocket, you're not going to win president. You're not. But at the same time, you do have to challenge them in terms of making sure that whatever things that they want to get done with the corporate world or whatever, don't harm the people. Keep your hands off of the American people. Let's work together to see how we can actually generate more income, more profits, while taking care of our people and taking care of this land, taking care of our planet. Sustainability, inventions, innovation, good tech companies, good softwares, ethical things. You know, it's not. It is. It's more so like how do we bridge those gaps? And that's something I think that we have to think about. You know, when we think about J.D. Vance, he's the running mate for vice president, for vice president, as we know. That's Peter Thiel's guy. I was puzzled as to like how the fuck did he get. And I knew it was for business. And I said that in previous videos. I said, okay, obviously this is business deals. It's some sort of initiation. They need him in that position to one day be able to run for president himself, because he's going to be he's in certain people's pocket. Now we know Peter Thiel's one of them. That's his guy. You know, that's how they roll. It's a business move. And to be honest, whether we look at that as fair or not, it's politics. And in addition to it being politics, I do think that the agenda of where we're going with America, and even bridging the gap between corporations and how we serve the American people, I think that could be merged strategically in a way where it's a win-win. And so I think that it was smart on Trump to not go after them. And it's smart, obviously, of Kamala. She doesn't go after them at all. Let's be real. She's like, I'm for establishment. I'm for oligarchy. However the fuck we gonna do it, we make moves. I think that obviously that hindered Kennedy's, but it's noble. It's noble. It's very noble. It's a noble policy, but yes, see, this means freeing government agencies from the control of big corporations. We do need the government agencies free from the form of control of big corporations. I think that the government agencies should work with big corporations, though. And we're not going to act like big corporations do not have major influence over the American economy and American policy, and the way that this country is ran. I mean, Elon Musk could potentially be a part of the presidential candidate executive suite if Trump wins. And so. And then now we got J.D. Vance and we got Peter Thiel involved in Peter Thiel in Palantir. These people, they know that the American enterprise itself is ran like a corporation. And so you need people that understand GDP and supply and demand economy on some level. Also, intelligence. You have to have those convergence in some aspect. And so I think running on the Uber ethic campaign strategy, running on that is what RFK did, and in many ways it's very and very, very, very noble. See, look at this. Our food is unhealthy. It is. The stuff that all of the chemicals that are banned in Europe and banned in the rest of the world are allowed here. BHT. But somehow raw milk is banned in America. Raw milk is legal elsewhere. Raw milk is legal in certain countries. Raw milk is banned in America. But BHT is allowed in America, but BHT is banned everywhere else. And you see them folks, and again, it's certain bloodlines that can deal with raw milk, as other bloodlines that can't. So I'm not promoting nobody to drink no raw milk. I ain't saying, but I'm saying, just like act like these Americans when come forward, they run around sneaking to get some raw milk. And they talking about how they curing psoriasis and how they curing it. And even, the Bulgarian raw yogurt helps with certain certain gut ailments and whatnot. Let's not act like we don't know that. You know what I mean? I talk about it. And I'm not even going to go so deep on it because that's heavy shit. But again, I'm not saying everybody, because I know usually melanated people cannot, they're lactose intolerant. A lot of melanated people. But there are some Black Americans that swear, they may be lactose intolerant, but they Every now and then they got to get them a bowl of cereal. Every now and then they going to eat them some mac and cheese and they going to deal with the consequences. But it's usually because of the enzyme of pasteurized and homogenized milk that makes it changes the structure of milk, and it actually makes it very, very hard to digest it. And then it causes the upset stomach and it causes the inflammation. But that's why they pasteurize it and homogenize it. Now, if it was just completely raw, believe it or not, a lot of Black Americans wouldn't have those issues. But again, it's banned. Raw is banned in America because there has been a lot of research that I would say a lot of people even come forward with testimony that when it's not homogenized and it's not pasteurized, their body is able to not only digest it, but it has been able, through the probiotics and through the colostrum, and maybe it has colostrum, maybe it doesn't, if it's first mother's milk or whatnot, will actually cure literal immunal things, because colostrum, it builds up your immune system. And so if there is colostrum in the raw, then you people, I'm just saying what people have said. I'm talking, even doctors have said that it has cured like psoriasis, or I won't say the word cure, that it has somewhat helped their psoriasis and other things. Again, I'm not advocating for anybody to go do that. I am just giving an anecdotal scenario of chemicals that are banned and then other things that are allowed in this country. And so you see BHT and certain dyes are completely banned in certain countries, but they are allowed here. And so I agree, that there needs to be some adjustments in the Department of our Agriculture, the Department of Defense, the State Department, intelligence agencies. And the middle class is being decimated because Wall Street controls the Federal Reserve, Treasury. See, and if this is why they were not going to ever choose him. Very noble, but they're not going to choose him. But that's why he linked with Trump. And now Trump, he's being, Trump is going to give RFK Jr. the chance to, bring about some of the changes through about this unhealthy food. Also, our environment is a toxic mess because big polluters and extractive industries control the EPA. Health costs and chronic disease runs rampant because big pharma controls the CDC, FDA, and NIH. That is actually true. Once again, noble, very, very noble. Establishment says hell no. Only an independent president, beholden to neither major party, can free our government from corporate capture. President Trump promised to drain the swamp, but he appointed corporate lobbyists and other swamp creatures like Scott Gottlieb and John Bolton to keep post. And President Biden has been wallowing in corporate control Washington swamp for 50 years. That's true. And so I would say with RFK, I think you should have ran on a major ticket, possibly Republican. I think you should have been in it. Maybe not this time, but years ago, you probably should have did that. And some of this, I understand what he's going with. I think everything here is amazing. I just know how these people, I know how the shadow government run, and I know for a fact that they ain't gonna go for this. That's just, I mean, the independent thing they can even get past, but some of this needs to be worded differently, and they got to budge too, because they ain't gonna have no choice but to budge. And so what RFK's vision is, he will eventually see a lot of these things come to pass. Like, there are going to be major changes within the ingredients and the chemicals that are allowed in our food for the better. That I know that the watchers are already on that. That's something big, that's spiritual. And so as far as addressing this food crisis shit and making sure our food is healthier, that's going to be done, even if he's there or not, because this is something that they want. That's why I'm telling you, that's why this RFK Jr. and Trump alliance is good in the spiritual. It's good because, we're seeing some of the things that that he stands for, and that merge with Trump's campaign. And even though Trump is business, he's businessman, and he does deal with the corporations. I think this is the beginning of that merge, which I was saying in my last video. We need a merge between corporations and the American people, and making sure that the interests are met, and making sure that corporations are able to get their win-win, but also look out for the American people. There's ways to generate currency speaking in code, currency from actually doing the right thing, from actually being in alignment with planet Earth, with actually making sure that planet Earth is safe, we're making sure our inventions are sustainable, we're making sure, we maintain edge in our technology and global edge in our military and whatnot. And so, you know, I think that this is a good thing of Trump and RFK getting. I hope that this is not just something PR. I hope it is actually something serious, because it is a good look. It really is. So it says RFK Jr. has experience to reclaim our government from the American people. For 40 years, he has sued countless government agencies. He knows all the tricks that corrupt officials use to advance the corporate agenda. Yes, he does. Install honest, competent leadership throughout the federal bureaucracy, agency by agency. I like that. Root out corruption, replace corporate-friendly agency leaders with reformers and whistleblowers dedicated to the national interest. I like that. Shut the revolving door by executive order with a 5-year ban on administration officials lobbying their former government agency. That's a bit too strong. I like it, but this is why he is not chosen by the establishment. That's way bigger than DNC, and that's bigger than RNC, the shadow government. But the shadow government, normally, it has been back in the DNC more than RNC, to be honest. Make the agencies transparent to public view so that the American people can once again have faith that the government works for them, not big corporations. And that's the emergence. The big corporations need to work for the people too. Okay, y'all want to have this oligarchy shit? Y'all been had it. Let's be real. Y'all been motherfucking at it. It's been a monarchy. It's been an oligarchy. Okay, government works for the people. It's we the people. Okay, big corporations, you need to work for the motherfucking people, and you need to bridge that gap, or not, or if not, then face the consequences of what that means when the people turn against you and when the people get fed up. What are you going to do? Just act like there's a lockdown for every little thing because you can't control the people? So you need to come out with some stupid ass outbreak and then say, oh, like, we have to lock down, guys. We got to lock down. Got to lock down. No, people ain't going to go for that. They're going to cut you in your motherfucking trachea for fucking with their freedoms and their rights and their human rights. And so, there was, Kennedy, he's a good candidate. He runs independent. He's the only one that's been running independent, but his family, they have access to that establishment. He has access to the establishment off of the bloodline of the Kennedy family. Let's see what's this, Blacks for Kennedy. So there's a lot of people that actually like him. He was on My with Tasha K, Breakfast Club, Math Hoffa. But they also know, okay, he's independent. They knew that the chances of becoming the primary candidate was just so slim to none that they did it, it kind of may have felt like, how I say this? You know how like something is kind of like a horse and pony show? Sometimes that's the vibe that I was getting. Like, is this because I understand you still have to, though, off of the strength of a principle, do what you know is right off a principle and do things because of the principle of it. And so I have to say, with RFK, that's respectable because it's more so like, I don't care about the actual outcome. This is the principle of what I stand for, the interest on what I stand for, and what I'm going to push, regardless of who validates it or approves of it or who lets me in or who gives me access or not. I like that approach. And I would like for my own people to get on board with that. That's the type of that's what I was when I was saying, okay, why don't you run your own candidates for 2028 and build up? Now they about to really do some charm shit for 2028, but it don't really matter because again, doing things off the principle does matter. And I'm big on that too. Like, I don't care who watching, who looking, who give you what. I do a lot of things based on principle. There's a lot of things that I put out, a lot of things that I say, a lot of things that I do that I know just off of the base of what I represent is not going to get mainstream or could potentially even get me killed. And it's like, it's the principle. It's the fucking principle. And so that I think is a good quality in RFK Jr. Just qualitative wise. It's a very good characteristic to have. So he was going to deal with Black maternal mortality, police reform, justice for Blacks, economy, healthcare, and addiction and education. But here's the thing. Now that he's linked up with Trump, this is actually a good thing. Because now we're talking about Trump's platinum plan. We could add this Black maternal mortality to the platinum plan. Just right here. economy, justice for blacks. And so this is a really good look. If you ask me, I did think that, I do have to say that I will correct myself, because I did think that our RFK Jr. Was a Democrat, and I did think he was running off Democratic uh, principles. But I will have to say this: my point about the establishment not choosing him still stands for sure. Now, he was getting dicked around by the DNC, and he would have kept getting dicked around by the DNC. And since he's independent, he couldn't make the executive decision to roll with Trump, try something new. And so I think that this is a brilliant idea to have them to link up. Imagine if he was the vice president. Now we got J.D. Vance, and J.D. Vance is was once very liberal and was once against Trump or whatever. And so Trump, J.D. Vance is more so of a liaison, perhaps, between business, corporate world, and the people. We'll see. He may be completely bought out. He may not ever speak up. We'll see what kind of, because he's still kind of new as far as us really assessing his record and character. But he's 39, and so RFK Jr. We will be able to assess. We are able to assess better because he's much older. But yes, so this was let's see, was this an hour long? Why is it not? It was on Rumble, but this was the one that was on Friday. So I guess it's just a speech and not the actual. I don't know. He spoke for an hour and 42 minutes. I doubt that. What it says, Kennedy to address the nation. Maybe he did speak for her. Let's see. I don't hear anything. Okay. Yeah, but nonetheless, the establishment. What I said about them treating him the way based off of what JFK did and the bloodline and the epigenetics, that still stands. Now, just because they are going more so with the DNC, he still would not have been chosen. And if they were going to choose him, he would have had to run on a Democratic policy, or Democratic ticket for sure. And so, as far as his family disowning him, saying that he's not living up to JFK's legacy, yes, the fuck he is. He is, because he's challenging the establishment. He's challenging. He's. I mean, how could y'all say he's not living up to JFK's legacy? That sounds crazy. He's doing exactly that. Even with the endorsement of Trump, he's doing exactly that. So he talks about some homeowner and American dream. Learn how Kennedy will offer government-backed 3% mortgages to rescue first-time home buyers from the skyrocketing prices. So I had said, Trump, you need to come up with a fucking housing policy. I don't know how many times I've told you. I asked you, said July 14th, Kamala don't hurry to beat you to the punch. But my thing is, that is something very serious. And so you may want to look at what he has. American home ownership is declining at the highest rate since the Great Depression. We lost more than 1 million homeowners in 2021, more than in a housing crash of 2008, and then another million in 2022. Damn, I believe that because of that, what happened in from the pandemic. The median home price has risen from $250,000 in 2019 to $400,000 in 2023. Boom. Mortgage interest rates have doubled since President Biden took office. Boom. The rise in interest rates combined with skyrocketing housing prices has pushed the average monthly payment for someone buying a home from $1,050 in 2019 to over $2,600 per month. That's true. At the same time, take-home pay after inflation in Texas has fallen by 9%. That's true. At the current pace, by 2030, 60% of single-family homes will be owned by corporations. That's true. BlackRock is buying up all these damn houses. So what it means is that home ownership is now a reach for all but the top income bracket. And that's why I was asking Trump to deal with this. On July 14th, I put that video out. That same week, what does Biden do? He said he's going to do a cap rent. Literally less than 3 days after I had said, Trump, you got to come on the housing policy. 3 days later, Biden comes out. Biden jumps out. Kamala comes up with her housing policy of the $25,000 for first-time home owners. That is not for immigrants. It is, for what I'm understanding, it's for the American people. Now, I noticed that I saw Black Americans lying about that $25,000 policy. I mean that her economic housing policy. I think you don't gotta like her, and you damn sure ain't gotta vote for her, but don't lie about the policy. Like that policy did not mention anything about it being just for immigrants. Like I don't understand why y'all guys are spreading that around, because there's enough things to spread around, so you don't have to lie. There's already much damaging shit already, and so the $25,000 closing costs on the new home for first-time home buyers, it is appealing. Is it logistically practical and feasible? As far as the economics, well, you have supply and demand. Well, she says she's going to build 3 million homes in addition to that. That may offset the supply and demand conundrum in terms of rising of the pricing. Nonetheless, I would say that it is imperative for Trump to deal with housing. I know J.D. Vance has mentioned it in an interview just a couple of days ago about how they want to deal with housing policies. And so they have to come up with something, even if they just borrow from Homeboy or RFKJ, even if they just zoning changes, tax-free government-backed mortgage bonds to bring the mortgage interest rate back to 2019 levels and even lower, bring derelict land and buildings back online. Zoning changes. We encourage municipalities to change zoning laws to allow ancillary dwelling units or more properties to make housing available to bring families together and provide homeowners with rental income. More supply means lower prices. That's true. So we need that supply. So she's talking about she's going to build them 3 million homes, 4 million homes and shit, even if they just motherfucking tiny homes. It meets supply. And then Americans, I'm telling you, a lot of Americans, they don't want all these big ass houses. They want something that's affordable, that the mortgage is real low, meets a $500 a month mortgage, $600 a month mortgage, or $21,000 tiny home. I got a couple of 1 bedroom and some shit in it. This is what people are actually, even people may say, they're settling for that, but we're young. I mean, I'm 32 years old. A lot of us are there are people that are just not settled. You would think at 32, a lot of people at that time, in their 30s, they have things, situated in terms of buying a house and stuff. But a lot of us are just not there yet with the millennials. We're not there to go and buy our own homes yet. And we don't want these big old homes. We want something that a lot of us want, a minimalist lifestyle. We're practicing a lot of stoicism. A lot of a younger generation are minimalists. And so they like the idea of cozy comfort, things that's cozy and comforting with so much efficiency within the way these housings are built. And that's another thing for those that maybe want to get contracts for government that will be building out these homes, right? Think of efficiency in space. Cool efficiency in terms of the cabinets, the cabinetries that you put into the homes and the layouts of the house itself. What's the selling point of the smaller homes would be the space efficiency and the clever and very intelligent ways in which you come up with that, and even building it itself. And so I really think that Trump would really propel his campaign further. And maybe if he waited 2 weeks, because right now he's still riding off of the wave of the RFKJ and Trump alliance energy. So you could probably ride that out for a week or two, maybe a week, maybe to spend the next 2 weeks to come up with a housing policy and start talking about a housing policy within, the next 2 weeks, or maybe even closer to the election. That's even maybe even more strategic to wait a little. Maybe it was around election time, then announce this amazing, innovative housing policy that addresses things of the American people, and I do think that it's imperative. It's imperative. Keep a roof over your motherfucking head is the most important thing to a lot of people, to a lot of Americans, anyways. And so when that's harder to manifest, or when it's harder to come to fruition, that's where you start getting that restlessness, and that's where you start getting the American people questioning, questioning policies, like what are you good for? What are y'all doing? Because our needs are not getting met. Like the basics of keeping a roof over your head and access to housing, that's a human right. That's actually I wrote a paper on that. Access to the property, human rights and property. If you look at it, home ownership, but even just rental units, we having issues with rent. The rent is so expensive, $2,000 for rent. And so I have been asking for that since July 14th. And I really need to see that happen, Trump. I really, really need to see a housing policy happen by your campaign. Because again, we're dealing with the esoteric politics. We're dealing with energies that are being backed. Like anytime certain priestesses or certain mystics decide to back you or to push for your campaign to win, those are their energies are backing that. Then the spirits that are attached to them are backing that. And I'm telling you that there's a lot of things that are already sealed in the deal for you, and there's a lot of things that there are a lot of spirits that are already backing you. But they want to see that housing. We have to see that housing policy. We have to see something relating to housing. Anything else, whatever whatever. But we have to see something for housing, and so we'll wait for that. We ain't gonna wait too much longer. And so the next thing I want to talk about is the spirits that are in addition to talking about like we got into what kind of spirits are backing Trump, what kind of spirits are backing Kamala. I talked about that in that video that's on Rumble. And so I want to talk a little bit more about that here. I'm not going to get so deep to where they take off my shit off. So we're going to keep it clean. We're not going to get into conspiracy or anything. We're just going to talk esoterically about what's backing Trump, what's backing Kamala esoterically. And so I am going to take a powder room break, and I will be back. Let me to cover that, and then pretty much end the video after that I talk about that. But I do have to go to the powder room. Let me Okay. Okay, so I'm back. I want to make sure that my sound is on. Let me add this back. Okay. Add this back. Okay, so okay, let me just make sure that my sound is still on. Is it still on? Okay, it's still on. So I forgot I had to talk about the Andrew Tate and Monarch program situation and Candace Owens. I do want to talk about that a little bit. I forgot about that. That was in this topic. That was in this video. Just wanted to maybe I should separate it though, because it's like totally drastically different topics, you know. And so I don't know. Perhaps I should um, do a separate video on it. I don't want to talk too much about that, but I want to talk a little bit about it. But I don't know. I'll see how I feel after I cover this last topic. But yeah, so we're talking about like the spirits that's backing Trump. You know, there's a lot of primordial energies that's backing Trump off of the fact that he's dealing with the child trafficking and human trafficking that he has executive orders to deal with that, and very harsh policies around that are against harming children. And so that's believe it or not, that and we talk about universal consciousness and the bending towards justice element. That is major in the spiritual realm. That is major. And when we talk about like the spirits backing Kamala, am I saying her name right? Kamala, I think it, yeah, because I was saying Kamala, and now I'm trying to. I was saying Kamala Harris, so I think it's Kamala Harris, right? But anyways, when we talk about Kamala Harris, she has very, very powerful energies that are backing her. But I talked about those Asuras. The Asuras is a class of beings in the Hindu pantheon that are backing her. I knew that they were backing her since 2018. No lie, I had a dream about Kamala Harris. I didn't even know who this lady was. I had a dream about her in 2018, and it was her. But I was seeing the energies, the spirits that were attached to her. And no lie, like I saw that and I said, damn. And I knew, I said, she's going to somehow finesse her way and make her way into the top echelons of this damn, country. The vice president or president. And I knew at the time she wasn't popular as far as the primaries in 2018, 2019. That I knew, but I made a phone call, and I'm pretty sure like the NSA probably has a recording of this exact phone call that I'm talking about. I made a phone call to a family member, and I told him about the dream. I said I had a dream about Kamala Harris. At that time I was saying her Kamala, and I said, that lady ain't nothing to play with. I said I saw there was a bunch of spirits that were showing me that were attached to her. And I went into talking about how I didn't know that they were called Asuras, but I knew that they were a Hindu class of beings that were obsessed with power. Now the Asuras are obsessed with power, but and I could see them, and they weren't all benevolent, and they weren't all bad either. But they was just like we rolled with her, and they had been in that bloodline for thousands of years. Now they try to remove this video from me getting too deep into like bloodlines and the energies that are attached to these bloodlines. They may remove this video from me talking about that because this is stuff that is not supposed to be publicly talked about. Well, in their eyes, in our eyes, to me, it's not a big deal, but maybe from their perspective, this is a big deal. But I called one of my family members and I said I saw the power that was backing her, and the family member was like, that they knew it too, that they could feel it too, that they saw it, they could see it too. And I said, it's going to take her very far. And they said they agreed. I said, yeah, it's going to take her very far. I said, they're going to take her very far. I said, but they're dark. I said, they're not all entirely, they'll take her far. Just her. Just her. They don't really give a fuck about, I mean, come on. It's a different type of energy. I'll just say that. But I saw it, and I was just and she in the dream, I'm not gonna divulge too much in the dream. That wasn't the only dream that I had about her. I had another dream in 2020. And I'm like, why am I having? I mean, I'm talking about this lady is just, it's so random. Like, it's not like I have zero connections to this lady. So I'm like, why with her of all people popping up in a dream? So she popped up again, and I want to say in 2020, and them energies were still on her, but it was kind of over her head in terms of dealing with that level of power. Like, it was kind of like what was communicated to me was that I feel like I'm in over my head with the establishment and what I done got into, the deals that I've made, and then these energies. They weren't consuming her, but it was she kind of, I'm not going to talk about that. I can't get too reckless on a damn YouTube, but it was interesting. But yeah, those are Sheroes that they are still backing Kamala. The Shakti goddesses, who she's named after, um, theoretically, and because this is where I come in, theoretically, obviously the divine feminine and those of our ilk and order, we love the idea of a female running for president. That's just common sense. And they knew that would appeal to the primordials, and they knew that it would appeal to even certain entities, like, and that's why they chose. They said, we get rid of Biden, we throw Kamala out there, we're able to harness more of the energy. Like, we're probably able to get some of them on our side to push for her. And it was very, very difficult, when they had announced her. It was like, how do we handle this? Like, how do we handle the fact that we know that this country, we know what's going to take place. We know what's taking place in the ethers. We know what's taking place galactically. When we talk about this age of divine feminine, that's something that we mean. And so the age of divine feminine is not, it's an order. It's not based on a gender, believe it or not. It's based on an order of principality. And so you may have, if there is say there's a female and a male, right? And say there's a male that's beholden to the order of the divine feminine, then you have a female who will desecrate the divine feminine, or who will disrespect herself. The powers that be in our realm will back that male over that female, because it's an order. That's why there's even certain bodhisattvas on planet Earth that have the favor, even if they're males, like say a Thomas Sankara. Oh, he had the highest of the most highest primordial energies backing him. Now, yes, he got knocked off, but in the spiritual realm, he became big time. He's big time in the spiritual realm. He's a big dog. Just off of the strength of him helping the agenda of our order. And so the same thing with Yeshua. We go by the divine feminine principles. And so when Kamala steps up, that kind of threw a wrench. That literally like confused the hell out of so many entities, and it really was like, damn, we are in a rock. We're like, we know that there will be a female. There's going to be several female presidents all over the world, by the way. It has nothing to do with feminism. It has nothing to do with chopping off males or beating up the male species, not like that. It's an order, and it's about being in balance with the order of the universe and electromagnetism, and the way the current flows from electromagnetism, and the order of the galaxy. That's all we care about is balance, enlightenment, intuition, love, freedom, liberation, joy. And we understand that at the highest level of certain dimensions, it is ran by women already. It's not even women, because this is not human based, right? Like we're talking about interdimensionally, and it's always been that way. The highest orders of the secret societies already know this stuff. They have botched some of our information. They have botched some of the teachings or whatever, but it's not one secret society on this planet that does not know that God is a female. They told all the human population that it's male, because they had to reverse engineer the power structure of the electromagnetic system so that they can control you and have greater power over you. Now they know the truth. You don't know the truth. You're running around like chickens, like it's cut off, arguing, gender wars, fighting each other, talking about race, and doing stupid shit, fighting each other as humans and not evolving yourself. And they at the top, they're able to rule over you better because of that conquer and divide. But also because you don't even know the all of the information. You just don't know the way it's ran. Now, information is not all correct. They may have some of it correct, but they don't have all of it correct. And so they have the way that they view, even though they know about the divine feminine and they know that God is a female and all that stuff. And they are on a hot seat too, because it's like the way you approach the divine feminine and the way you have treated the divine feminine on this planet is still fucked up in our eyes. And we do know that they sacrifice women and trade the souls of a certain high power women and mystics, this brotherhood, and harness their energy. And they don't understand that it is an insult to primordial spirits to do that to females and think that you're still going to get their favor. And so just because they may hide some of the information from you, they have lost a lot of their favor because of the fact that of the way that they treat the divine feminine. And so when it was announced that Kamala would be running, it was like, well, we have to treat her like we do any other candidate, like we do any other spirit. What is she standing on? What does she believe? Is she a writer? Is she principled? Is she ethical? Does she has integrity? Will she stand up for the people? Will she stand up for herself? Will she do the right thing when no one is looking? Will she how does she view the divine feminine? How has she been historically and treating the divine feminine herself? And so we've had to assess that. But just because it's a female, we can't just say, oh, it has to go to her because it's a female. That's not how this works. On human levels, that works. Like there are orders on this earth that also revere the divine feminine, and don't give a shit about none of that. She's a female. We're going with kind of she's a female. They know that we're supposed to be ushering in the age of divine feminine, and with that knowledge of knowing that it is going to be ushered in, whether you guys are in or not. We talk about Christ consciousness, however you want to do it. We are under the domain of that. Again, if you study the proper true teachings of what, even, if you want to even go religious with it, it's still an order that reveres the divine feminine. Even if we look at the reasons why Yeshua was killed and whatnot. That's all deep. I write about that in occult books. That's we're not getting into that in this video. But we had to treat her like we do any other species, based on merit, based on what we know and what we can see. And so, even though we love the idea of a female running, is she a good candidate objectively? And is she in alignment with our order of the divine feminine? Is she going to bring about? Is she going to help us bring about this age? And I know that this is going to be so shocking, and I'm going to get so much slack for saying this because it's shocking. Like I'm telling you, like I've had, and part of the reason why Trump's energy, the Trump campaign experienced low energy for about a good 2 to 3 weeks was because of the swamping or the questioning of should we this is a new twist as far as Biden stepping down, her being the candidate. How do we approach that? Because we know good and hell well we want the divine feminine, but Kamala Harris, unfortunately, that's not activated fully because this establishment has picked her to do their bidding, and we can't have lackey energy. We got to have somebody that, even if it's a female, we have to have them be able to do things that are in alignment with the universal laws, the laws of the universe. Mother Gaia herself, planet Earth herself, as well as what's principled and what works for the American people and what protects American interests. And so, a lot of the policies, this is just an objective thing that you guys have to look at. And so for me, well, I would have loved to back up to throw my energy behind a female candidate. Like oh my gosh, like a woman of color, like, I mean, come on, and I don't really care about, she's not a Black American, but as far as her being Hindu, that doesn't bother me, as far as her being East Indian, that wouldn't objectively bother me. Again, I'm looking at policies, I'm looking at your record, I'm looking at what you stand for, what you historically have done, what you believe. And you know what? I wanted to show y'all this, because if y'all think that I'm making this, like, as far as this Asura energy that's attached to her, I'll show you an example of exactly what this looks like. Now, she is strong in many ways. She is nobody to play with. Kamala Harris is not nobody to play with, but she's not going to push our agenda of the divine feminine further. And so, believe it or not, and this I can't even go there, because it's like, no way. What we need as far as maverick energy and the ability to push back on this establishment and on the bullshit that they have been doing in this country, Trump is in alignment with our agenda. Now, he's not divine feminine and all this shit. He knows the truth of the truth at the top, because he's at the, let's be real, he's a Mason. So he knows the truth about the divine feminine. So I'm not saying he's the divine, no, not at all. The agenda is more in alignment with what we're trying to do in terms of setting this American structure up for what we need to bring about. He's more in alignment with what, especially RFK. I mean, not that RFK is, we're looking for something right now, because this is a bust. Like, neither one of these candidates, we want them, we would want them to push more, but if we have to pick someone that is in alignment with where we're eventually going to be heading, that would be Trump right now. And that's unfortunate to say that, because on principle you would think, okay, all these women, they about to throw they weight behind Kamala, and it would have been something that we would have loved to do, as far as the primordial spirits. But we really want someone, and not that, obviously to look out for the American people, but we need someone that is going to not just go along to get along when it comes to the elites who run the establishment, and especially some of the changes that we want to see relating to how children are treated in this country. And so that alone, I'm telling you, like, when it comes to the divine feminine, we care about our children. And so when we hear someone, whether they're male or female, say that they are going to crack down and give the death penalty and to people that harm children, that harm women, they're going to leave choice up to the states as far as whether people want to do with their womb management. Women, I don't know if you guys knew that, that's up to the states. That is not there is not a national federal ban on womb control or pregnancies, or abortion. I think I could say abort. I didn't know if we could say abortion on YouTube, but abortion. But yeah, like the children, like that's key here. And so that is why you see a lot of the energy backing Trump. Is not because he's doing I'm pretty sure that he has lied and got caught in shit too, and not innocent or whatever. But we really was looking for someone, and I had said that, Kamala, I mean, if you can do something that's hard line against harming children and trafficking, you can do something against this that stops human trafficking, child trafficking. The doors will open up more for you. And Trump took that and ran with it. I mean, this week alone, he's come out. He has committed to making sure that he carries out those plans that he has, and that was the agreement. That's what we want to see, is harsh penalties for harming children, American children. There's a lot of stuff going on. They just admitted to losing 291,000 children at the border. Where did they go? What happened? They admitted this at the DNC. Now they speaking in code. You think they don't know where them children are at? They had abortion clinic right at the DNC that you can get abortion for free. And they made a speech talking about, hey, 291,000 children are missing. Y'all better wake the fuck up. We talk about esoteric politics for a reason. Y'all can think it's funny and ha ha ha, it ain't that deep. You think it too much. There is no deep state. There is no, y'all think that stupid shit if y'all want. See, it's a very rare that a priestess, that a mystic, and I can prove on a weekly basis that I can see things on a weekly basis in this country before they happen. The energy of what's going to happen. Maybe not the specific characters or details, but major details that go viral every week on my weekly tarot videos. That cannot be disputed. And that's why they're so shadow banned, because it's like, it's very dangerous for someone to be able to, on a weekly basis, see what the fuck is going to happen on a global scale in this country. And I've been able to do that for 6 months. Publicly. Now, behind the scenes, I've been doing that for a long fucking time. Long time. But I'll show you when we talk about like her, that she's Kamala is strong. I don't want people to think that she's weak or anything. She's strong, but for them. And that's the backwards way that the Brotherhood approaches the divine feminine, from a very lackey perspective of getting them to do her bidding. So they're using her power to do America in. Because she has a now I'll show you an example of how these Aseras work. You want to know how the Aseras carry on, right? Watch this. Now she's talking, but watch when I say the Aseras is a class of beings in the Hindu pantheon that has been on her bloodline for thousands of years, that watch her and protect her and get her to where she's at. They're not all benevolent. They're not all bad, but they are obsessed with power, and they get you power. Now, watch an example of what I mean when I say these Aseras are governing her. Watch this right here. Watch this.
I will snatch their patent.
You see the way she say that? I will snatch their patent.
I will snatch their patent so that we will take over.
You see that? So that we will take over. Look at her face while she's saying that. You think that this woman is playing?
And yes, we can do that.
Look at this.
Yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that.
Did you see that? The hand on that's how you can't tell that that's an entity talking through her. I cracked up when I saw, because all I see is a Asera. All I see is the Aseras that are backing her.
It's the question is, do you have the will to do it?
She look at her face when she said, I have the will.
I have the will to do it. I will snatch their patent.
I'm just gonna play it again.
So that we will take over. And yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. It's the question is, do you have the will to do it? I have the will to do it.
And she ain't playing. Y'all thinking she playing, talking like this? I'm telling you, in 2019, I called the family member, and again, all phone calls was recorded by the NSA. I know they heard me say it. I said, that motherfucker ain't no joke. I said, y'all hear? I said, I had a dream about her, and I see the energies that are on her. I said, they're very dark, but they're very powerful, and they're going to get her into a very big position in this country. I said, she ain't going to win that. She ain't going to win that 2020. You know, I knew she was. I didn't think she was going to win the primaries or anything like that, but I mean, her finesse queen, her getting up in that motherfucking vice president position. And you remember when she made that phone call and said, and they were laughing, and she said, hey, Joe Biden. Hey, Joe Biden, we won. We going in the White House in 2020 with that cackling laugh, cackling all the way to the fucking White House. And that's the Aseras. And like Trump said, they're very energetic forces, and they're very clever. This ain't no joke. Y'all don't know the codes and how the ins and outs of how this shit all works unless you see that spiritually. You got to be able to see that spiritually. If you can't see that, then you're gonna still be on 3D thinking about Democrat and Republican and DNC and RNC and CPAC and Megan Thee Stallion performing at the damn rally and all that. Y'all be on that level. This shit is serious, real. I'm telling you, in 2019, I saw, I said, she got a lot of power, spiritually, that I knew. But I also I saw, and again, I'm not going to get into everything, but I said, let's just hope it doesn't devour. I mean, people say that. People from the outside can say that about me. Like, let's just hope that shit that's on College J.N.S don't consume her and have run her motherfucking ass fucking mad. Okay, I know the spirits that's backing me ain't no fucking joke to fuck with or play with. You know, and that's why I have to maintain a certain frequency, maintain a certain amount of I had to maintain that integrity and that alignment. I have to be in complete alignment with God and complete alignment with this universe, or else it's over for my motherfucking ass. Because you can't have that level of power and not be in alignment with the universe. You have to be, and that was my concern with Kamala. Because I know the Assyrians, they got her, but some things look a little shaky. But what I'll say is, as far as her Shakti energy, she got to stop doing them bidding. Like she's too controlled. That's the issue, and that's why she's not. That's why we're not backing her as much as you would think my order would back. Like, okay, oh my gosh, she's a female. It's an order. The divine feminine is a governance structure. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. And so if there's a male, like, yeah, let me tell you this. Y'all remember I told you on 2020 that person, that big time influencer that had 500,000 subscribers that went on a live with 20,000 people on YouTube and called this woman a bitch over 20 times and said he wished she would be unalived over 20 times, and was just disrespectful and calling her a stank PUSSYB. And I told you there's some Obia priestess, one of which, this is an Obia, we're talking about old time, 40 years in that shit, 40 years in the occult as a priestess, at least top 10 in the world of spiritual power. Top 10. She come forward and say, you know what, that's ridiculous. We got to tag his ass for that. Then you had a male, the person that put the nail, who took credit for going after that male for coming at this female like that, and then he disrespected other women too. He took credit for that. There was a male that tagged his ass up like that, and within 1 month, that channel was removed, and that $1 million that he made was gone. He was out there. By the time they done with him, his motherfucking ass out there homeless, looking crazy, drugged out, and lost his complete fan base. And by the time they was done with him, but there was a male. I do know there was a male that took credit for putting them roots puts on his motherfucking ass. It was a male, and he said, "You disrespected females. You disrespected the women. This is what we do." And these are people like, and I don't think he might have been top 10, but I know that person that called it out as an Obia priestess. I know she's at least top 10 in the world. And so there. What I say this to say that it's a governance structure. There are protectors of the divine feminine in this country, in this world, in all religions. It's an order. And some of them are male, some of them are female. Some of them have been past ascended masters. Some of them have been big into politics as well, like a Thomas Sankara. There's very few. These are people that we have: the Malcolm X's, the Thomas Sankara, the Yeshua, the Winnie Mandela, cold motherfucker, Catherine Cleveland. There's certain you know it when you see it, and you know from the spirit of the dimension that they come from and the galactic family that they descend from, whether or not they are part of that order or not. And it doesn't even have to be loose tie. They don't have to be at the highest levels of it. They could be maybe at the lower levels. It doesn't matter. But we know when we see how somebody move, how they feel towards that divine feminine, whether them spirits are on them or not. We can know that instantly. Okay, you're one of them. Because we know how you treat the divine feminine. It has nothing to do with gender. It's not a feminism thing. We don't give a shit about that. It's an order. It's a governance of structure where we know at the highest levels of the way this universe is fucking ran, we know how it go down. Now they keep a secret from you. That's on them. We told y'all the truth. We let it all out there. And then we get banned, and they trying to kill us and trying to fuck with our minds and shit and do massive witchcraft on us and shit because they don't want this information getting out. But with Kamala, we need you to be more free in that expression of the divine feminine. And what Trump is doing with with RFK and then with coming with those kids, he got to do that housing policy. And with helping these children. And I had said in 2020, I remember I had another phone call and I said, we gonna crack down when y'all fucking with them kids. I said, we would have spared a lot of you motherfuckers coming for these motherfucking kids. And we gotta, that's what we don't like. And so that alone, I mean, that's just common sense. That's just common sense. Children are innocent. Children are the closest thing to the ether. They just come out of the damn portal. And so we are going to make sure if nobody else is taking care of in this country, we're going to look after children. What does God look after? Babies and fools. And so if we don't look out for nobody else, it's going to be these damn children. And so that's the reason why. But because you got to figure, even with me and in my rank in the spiritual realm, having to make that call, like, and the confusion, especially being 32 years old and not having a lot of experience, like it is really hard, you know, because it's like we know that whatever it takes for us to get this age ushered in, this golden age ushered in, is what we would do. But we need certain structures to be dismantled or to come under the fold, rather, because we ain't really, it's more so you coming under the motherfucking fold. We need certain energies to come under the fold of what we are doing. And they give us too much problems. I'm telling you, y'all, the DNC, y'all give us too much, y'all give us too much shit, man. And so, as hard as it was, you know, we love the idea of a female, and they know that. That's why they threw her out there. They know good and hell well that was gonna fuck up a lot of us, priestesses and spiritual, you know, women. Like, what are y'all gonna do? Because now y'all said y'all want the divine feminine. We got a female for y'all. That's named after the Shakti goddesses. And, you know, it's like, you know, there are some women there, you know, that, you know, but for some of us, it's like, okay, we have to be objective. We have to be objective, and we have to assess her on her merits. We have to assess her on her merits and what gets us closer to the agenda that we want to see on planet Earth. The agenda we want to see on planet Earth. And we talking about RFK is talking about dealing with them chemicals in the food and pollution. And Trump talking about, you know, the you know, cracking down on this child trafficking and human trafficking. Oh, I think that's an obvious choice. You know, and so until the DNC gets rid of the weird shit that they dealing with, you know, the entities that they had to honor and do things for, and that they still, you know, I would say this: they have to have a little more time to learn what the hell, how this is going to be ran, and they need a little more time to understand that what they are doing is ass fucking backwards in the universe's eyes. They know it, but they have not processed that yet. And so experience helped you process conceptual things that you know, right? And so the DNC has to learn from experience. Because what? Hard head makes us soft behind. And so I'm talking spiritually now. And I'm talking way beyond the DNC. But that side has to come under the fold of what we are trying to do. We're not going under the fold of what the fuck y'all doing. Because y'all don't know what the fuck y'all doing. Y'all don't have sauce or source. You don't got the sauce and you don't got the source. So negative. Actually, I don't even want to use negative. I hate that what we have done with that word. Inauspicious. Okay. Now, we won't be rolling that way. And it's deeper. And I know people think, oh, it's because of black and white that Democrats do things for black people and all. No, man, y'all motherfuckers will be on that 3D shit if y'all want. That is not how the world runs. That is not what this is all about. That's all psyop. That's all psyop. All that shit. Two-party system, all that. That's all psyop. We talking about how this shit is really ran. And these politicians know. Kamala knows. They know that this is spiritual, that this is the occult. And this woman knows this. She Trump knows it. They know. But yeah, so she is strong. I'm not trying to make it seem like she's just some weak woman, or she's very strong. But she's still too controlled for us. And though she's liberal and things, it's like it's not where it counts. It's not where it's actually gonna help the American people. All this open border shit and all this, like, nah, like we have demarcations, and yes, no one can own the land, and the world is, I get all that, but when it's an agenda to undermine other people by proxy of using policy, immigration policy in particular, that's a problem. And I want to be clear that anything can be weaponized. You can weaponize anything. Anything you can weaponize. You can weaponize anything. Anything. And that's key for military science. Know that you can weaponize anything. You can weaponize anything. And so we know that they do that with policy. We know that they do that with food ingredients, food chemicals. So you can weaponize. I'm telling you, you can weaponize any motherfucking thing. Should you, though? Just because you can do something don't mean you should do it. And so they weaponize immigration policy against the American people. Some more than others, particularly Black Americans. That is weaponized against Black Americans. It's been weaponized for the last 200 years. There's like data that proves that. And so, where theoretically, I don't give a fuck about what another person is able to do or get or obtain, right? I believe that we as Black Americans should be focusing on ourselves. So I'm not here to try to take off from other people from eating, right? I really wouldn't even encourage that, because that's creating an energy deficit. It's going against the laws of thermodynamics. But if they're going to use something as a policy to weaponize it against us, we must call it out, and we cannot support it. Right. But as far as getting hung up and getting into back and forth and getting our energy and vibration all worked up over some immigrants or Africans, or no, I can't fucking do that no more. I can't sit and get all worked up over that shit. Because I really know if you focus on yourself and whatever your intentions are and whatever you surrender to the universe, that's what's going to unfold. Wherever your attention goes and your intention goes, internal and external, wherever it goes, that's where the fuck you about to flow. And so I'm not about to sit and be all in the debates and arguing with Africans or immigrants or arguing the validity of immigration policy. Or no, we know you weaponized it, motherfuckers. You weaponize it against us. I ain't supporting it. I ain't supporting nobody that's about to support that. That's as simple as that. It's the end of it. It's the end of it. I'm not debating about it with you. I'm not arguing about it with you. I'm not trying to take nothing off your motherfucking plate, but you damn sure not about to take nothing off my plate. So get the fuck out of here. And that's what we have to say when it comes to that type of thing. But don't get that shit too much of your energy, because we're supposed to be focusing on ourselves. Just put all the energy back into us. Don't put your energy out into no damn tethers and all this shit y'all be talking about, and who's black and who. Oh God, give me that's too 3D for me. And at one point, guys, I was with the best of them. You would see me worked up, vein popping out my motherfucking head, talking about damn immigrants and arguing with people about Black Americans and all. I already been there, done that. But at one point, you motherfucking heal. You can't just stay there forever. You gotta heal from some point, evolve from some point. At some point, you have to evolve and come to terms with the reality and create your own fucking reality. And so, that's why you don't really see me doing a bunch of videos on tethers and coming at Pan-Africanism. I already did. The Pan-Africanism is dead. I said it was dead. I stand on it. But I also came up with new frameworks for those of us that's ready to work together and want to. There is solutions. You can't just say something is dead and not bring life into something. And so I made sure I did that. Now I get shadow banned and it will be in a watch list, whatever. What the fuck? But you can't say I didn't put it out there. I didn't agree. Nobody can say I ain't trying to help a motherfucker because I tried it. I tried my best, and I still try. I just am more cautious of how I'm about to have my aura and my energy leaking everywhere. Hell no, because these motherfuckers steal energy, and these people, man, y'all motherfuckers don't know how this shit roll. You sit up there and got literal infiltration on all levels within even our own community, and y'all don't even address that shit. So I can't sit and have energy leaks, and I know I know we got controlled opposition all in the fucking mix, and weirdo ass occultists in the fucking mix, reptilians. Let me be quiet. But nah, man, y'all motherfuckers is tripping. And so that's why we have to guard our energy as Black Americans. Y'all don't need to be getting all worked up into none of this stuff. You need to know spirit. You need to be in line with universal consciousness. Stand on principle. Stand for integrity. When it's time to fight, you fight. You, even if it means death, you stand on what you believe in. You never give up. You never fold. That's what Black Americans need to know. You stand on righteousness and integrity. Stand on your ethics. Believe in yourself. And don't fold. Work together. Get things done. Follow competent leaders. Demand competency in your leaders. Demand accountability in your leaders. If you see suspect shit, they most likely controlled opposition. How much is they into the system? How long have they been in Hollywood? How long? What kind of connections do they got? Is that motherfucker controlled opposition? Or are they free? Are they a part of a secret society where they are, or are they free? Y'all gotta ask all these things, and you don't do that, and then you wonder why you get fucking screwed over time and time again by people. You know. And so here we are. But yeah, this system is ran interdimensionally, and it's deeper than anything you can imagine. There's nothing to be afraid of. It ain't nothing to scoff at. It ain't nothing to run from. It ain't the damn devil and demon and all that. Nah, you stand up strong. You demand what's in your best interest, collectively or individually, and you demand that our government serve the people. And you also demand. You say big corporations, you're going to serve the people too. You want your profits, you want us working, whatever, and all these things are going to change because y'all gonna come up off them duckins because y'all have not given the American people a break for a long time, and now we at our heads and we are really suffering out here. Y'all got everybody on motherfucking watch list. You got surveillance state all over the fucking place. People suspicious of their neighbors and shit. People gang stalking their neighbors and all this crazy ass shit. No, y'all out of pocket. Y'all out of pocket. And so it's gonna be a lot of changes for the better. For the better. Because that's foremost. And so the vibration of this planet is going to rise. Y'all not gonna be able to do this shit y'all been doing. We don't care what the hell y'all think we don't care how powerful you think you are. No one is more powerful than Primordial Mother or Godhead, or as y'all say, the Holy Spirit. Nobody is more powerful than the God, the creator God of all. The creator God of all, the polar creation. Nobody is more powerful. And so we don't care. Y'all don't want to believe in God. Y'all want to have your own thing. You want to believe that you are the God. Nobody gives a fuck about that. That's the thing I don't even understand. Nobody even cared about that. Just because some fallen angels told y'all some fucked up information on me, y'all don't even know what the hell y'all talking about. And so it's like y'all trying to attack God, like we give a shit that y'all think that you're the gods. Okay, we already told y'all that in every fucking religion that you're supposed to be looking to yourself. You don't externalize your power. We already told y'all that. So what are y'all doing? What are y'all fighting against? Actually, what are y'all doing? So it's us. It looks like petulant children that are having a tantrum. That y'all got botched information, and that you need to change your ways on planet Earth. And I'm not talking to humans right now. I'm talking to the cabal, the powers that be. I'm talking to them. Let me make sure my shit is still on, because I know every time I address that, they turn my shit off. Yeah, but yes, we know what's been going on in the planet Earth dimension. We see everything. We know what's going on behind the scenes. The corruption in the U.S. government must come to an end. The corruption in the intelligence agencies must come to the end. We told the CIA what they gonna do, what they need to do 2 years ago. And they have made some progress in some ways, and in some other ways they have not. And so we are very serious about this. And now, so we love that you guys are shaking up a lot of things and putting a lot of stuff on blast and waking up a lot of shit. But we need more. We need more. and we need justice. Okay, I think I don't belabor my point, but ain't this video funny as fuck with her talking about I will snatch their patent. I mean, we're talking about this is the Kamala Shakti energy if you ever saw it. We're talking about, but again, we want her to work on her own behalf, and we want her to work on more to behalf of spirit, before we back her. But it is watch this.
I will snatch their patent so that we will take over.
And to be honest, again, when she talking like this, and I'm gonna tell y'all how the powers that be that put her in this position, they love that about her. So y'all just see they love that shit about her. Now she and that because she down with them as gang, and they love that about her. They sure do, man. And I'm telling you, I can see some stuff on the spiritual realm. And I ain't gonna be talking about everything that I see, but that should be. They see her as Kamala. They literally look at her as Kamala, the Shakti avatar of Lakshmi, residents of some of the Shakti primordial energies. Now, again, they control her too much, and so they're not fully activated, and they don't appreciate that. I'm talking about those entities don't appreciate that, and so that's why it's not fully activated. But when she be talking like this, they be eating this up. For those that roll with her, that's on their agenda. They love that they got somebody that's crazy, cat shit like this that's gonna do. Let she say, we will take over. I will snatch their patent. So we will. Watch it again.
I will snatch their patent so that we will take over. And yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. It's the question is, do you have the will to do it? I have the will to do it. I will
spoken like a true Asura. But yeah, that's funny. So now I want to talk about was it Andrew Tate? Andrew Tate. So we all know he's going through a lot in the media, I want to play this first, so then you can understand the lens in which I am coming at this. I want to play this first. Let me play this.
The Matrix. I will destroy. I didn't want to destroy you. You should have kept me as controlled opposition.
Okay, let's play it one more.
I didn't want to destroy you. You should have kept me as controlled opposition. I would have been on your side. I would have created my message.
See? You should have kept me as controlled opposition. I would have been on your side. I would have created my message. And watch this part.
I would have done whatever you needed me to do.
I would have done whatever you needed me to do.
To allow me to exist on your platform.
To allow me to exist on your platform.
So you could satisfy whatever shareholders you
okay, come on. I mean,
have down in Cutland. But you started a fight with the most formidable man on the planet. And I will crack the Matrix. I will destroy tech monopoly. That's who I am. It's too late. You're the wrong guy. I didn't want to destroy you. You should have kept me as controlled opposition. I would have been on your side. I would have created my message. I would have done whatever you needed me to do to allow me to exist on your platform.
Okay, so he's admitting to being controlled opposition. We all knew that. Andrew Tate is controlled opposition, but he went rogue. Man, we know his father was CIA. He come from military background, intelligence background. Most likely put in Monarch program. Some of his behaviors, the way his mannerisms, the way he talks, certainly reminds me of someone that is a Monarch a Monarch project, government project. And so I'll say this: the government use. Matter of fact, I got a word a certain way because then they can take this video down. When we talk about like Project Monarch and the way that it was the objective of Project Monarch, I want to talk about the objective of Project Monarch. It was to create super soldiers of influencers, politicians, occultists, as well as Illuminati members that would serve the agenda of the establishment. And so a lot of the apparatuses within the intelligence agencies, maybe even rogue elements, I'm not sure, put their kids in these type of programs, to be honest. Sometimes it was through blackmail. Sometimes it was through you have to give up a sacrifice, or you have to breed the system. You need to breed. You need to bring you bring forth souls. And so we need those influencers that would we need to build up a program of where we groom and program certain beings on this planet to be able to take over, to be able to influence at the minimum, or to entertain, to influence or to influence, distract, or maintain or run their system. You may say that's a satanic system. Whatever, however you want to look at it, we know it's a system, right? And we know it's kind of, based on distraction and based off of time looping and whatnot. And so they had this program, Project Monarch. Now, Project Monarch, there is elements of MK Ultra in Project Monarch, but it's not entirely just MK Ultra. It's separated into separate factions. So you have bloodliners and you have non-bloodliners. So non-bloodliners, those are the ones that usually get SRA, right? Non-bloodliners. They are part of Project Monarch. They are still under mind control, but they're usually just sacrifices, or they're looked at as expendable, and those are the ones that they get like beta programmings. Sometimes depending on the gematria, they will allow them into the entertainment industry as an artist. Sometimes, because a lot of bloodliners are the entertainers, but as far as the non-bloodliners, those are the ones that get fed as the cannon fodder or the loosh, and those are the ones that they are like the sacrifices. Sometimes there are incidences where a non-bloodliner is mistaken, if someone is mistaken as a non-bloodliner and they're really a bloodliner, and vice versa. But they usually, those who get recruited into those programs, the non-bloodliners, sometimes they're recruited from the foster care programs. Sometimes they are recruited from orphanages, foster care, or they are recruited from the cults, of certain private cults that breeding cults that will breed for SRA for this type of programming. Again, there are some times where a bloodliner can end up in foster care, and they'll also be groomed for different reasons. Okay, and so those who have like background in like military and intelligence at the highest levels, most likely, this is way deeper. This is so much deeper. Come from Masonic bloodlines. Sometimes they do put those kids in women in those programs. Part of a deal. Sometimes the deal is for them to become extremely, extremely influential. And it'd be the parents that do this. It's not the actual kid. The kid has nothing to do with this. The kid has no choice in this. It's the parents. Sometimes the grandparents. The grandparents will or sometimes the parents will make a deal on the contract on the soul of the kid, the actual entity, the being that's coming in, the kid. And it could be for better or for worse. Sometimes the parents know that they will literally sell their kid to the government for fiat currency, and the kid will be put in that program, perhaps as SRA, perhaps as loosh. Or sometimes the government approaches them for the kid for the grooming for something that they want. It's not necessarily to SRA. It could be because they know the gematria of that kid and they need that kid to become like this great writer or to become this big time influencer over the masses. And they need to be able to groom them with the satanic regime from a very early age. Sometimes they do approach families. That's what happened with like the Harlem Renaissance, with the certain businessmen going into the hood looking for very talented Black Americans with certain bloodlines. It happens all the time. And then you have bloodliners. Bloodliners are also programmed and put in Project Monarch. Maybe it could be other aspects of Project Monarch or even under a different name, but I do know it still involves MK Ultra. And MK Ultra is radionics, psychotronics, and demonology. It's occult science. MK Ultra rituals, MK Ultra mind control is occult. The universe is mental. And so when we talk about MK Ultra, just know that it's not some, yes, you have actual programming, actual mythology and strategies to which to program another human being like a fucking robot. Or sometimes it's not even a human beings programming other human beings. I'll say that. But we do know that from what I know, it does have to do with radionics, psychotronics, and demonology. Not all of MK Ultra is trauma induced, but most of it on planet Earth, it's I would say 99% trauma induced. MK Ultra was not originally. I wrote about this in the book. It's too difficult to get into. I'm not going to talk about that into this video, but I did write on it extensively about the differences between monarch mentalism from royal bloodlines and the way it was done. We talk about like the pharaohs and Osiris and those the descendants of Nimrod and Osiris. Even the way that got botched at one point, even in Egypt, and even in Africa and even in America, it got botched. It turned from monarch mentalism to reverse engineering that science for trauma-induced mind control. Instead of having the royalty reign freely, run and create their own IPUs, which was originally a science that was on planet Earth as well. Again, it was changed. But because they wanted to control, the humans wanted to control the light source in those humans. So that could be have your handlers. They want to be able to cue you and literally mind control you with a remote. The neuro-linguistic programming, all types of now that's another component. So MK Ultra also now includes neuro-linguistic programming. Most of MK Ultra now is neuro-linguistic programming, and I know the CIA has denied this multiple times, but I'm telling you, there is something, or either that, or you have a secret society that is able to use this science now. And so if you say you want to claim it wasn't y'all that did that, because we put it on you, we put it on y'all. Now y'all said you ended it. But I'm talking about, I know for a fact that shit is still going on today. And so if you're saying that y'all shut it down and it's no more, did you add it? Did you put it under a different program, or you put it under a different name? Are you just now using radionics, DUW? Are you just now, did you perfect it so much that now it's technically not MK Ultra anymore? And if that's the case, I'm still gonna have your ass. We gonna get on your ass. But if that's not the case, I'm telling you that there is a secret society in America that has all of your data and has all of your ability to do that, and y'all know about it. And so yes, we still do put the blame on you. However, there's the methods are probably way different than what we saw with this in the 60s, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s. I know from what I can see on the spiritual realm, they still do use psychedelics. They will still drug you, LSD. They still drug you. Cannabis was used in original monarch mentalism. I will be honest and say that. Cannabis, but not for mind control. Once again, it was for being able to travel interdimensionally. And so that was allowed. Same with a certain mushroom, not shrooms. It was a different mushroom. That was also allowed in monarch mentalism. But again, this was not trauma induced. There was to be no SRA. There was to be none of this bullshit that y'all reversed engineer on planet Earth. And so I'll get back to what I'm saying. You have the bloodliners that are the descendants of 125D, as well as the being that currently runs this planet, which is Lucifer. Well, he doesn't run it anymore as of July 2023. And so, they are descendants of those bloodlines. They are descendants of even certain entities. And so those bloodliners have been tracked at all time. There are incidences where certain they are considered bloodliners, but they broke their oath by walking away. They said they out, they deuces. They don't want to do that anymore. It started with King David. I do have to say that. That's where you start to see, we read the book of Psalms and you understand, for those that are target individuals, read that book of Psalms and you will understand, read the book of Nehemiah. You'll be able to see what I'm talking about there. There were bloodlines that said, no, be out, I don't want that. They're going to enter a new covenant, or they don't want that. And you'll see you read the book of Psalms and you as a targeted individual, knowing what you go through, read that book of Psalms and tell me if that's not the same thing. It's from the point of view of somebody that knows what that is like. And only you know when you know it. If you have ever been in that. If you know you have been in the no touch psychological torture program, if you know if you've been on the government watch list, you know any of those things. If you know that is you, read that book of Psalms and read it from the point of view of everything that you know. If you're truly a targeted individual, you will see yourself in that book of Psalms. That's all I gotta say. If you're truly a targeted individual, if you can't see it and you don't understand it, you don't know it, then forget it. Another book you read: Nehemiah, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and obviously all the teachings of Yeshua. If you're truly a targeted individual, you will be able to crack those codes. If you're of the bloodline, you already know. You would actually know how to build the pyramids from reading that book. Just the book of Psalms. If you're actually of the bloodline, because those are like codes that was for a royal bloodline that is connected, that demarcated from the more of the Commission science and went more into Judaism. Now there's convergence. There's convergence. That's why the book of Psalms references certain things that you will find in Commission Egypt science, the science of Egypt. You'll see it. But there was convergence because there was a split of a certain bloodline saying, we no longer want to follow. We don't want to do this anymore. We don't want to. And they became targeted. Yeah. King Solomon, King David. Those obviously were not their real names. But there were individuals that existed of those bloodlines. And they're tracked. And they are well known. They have listed them where they're at. Of the descendants of they already know that, just so y'all know that has already been determined. They know who's bloodliners or who are not bloodliners. There have been times where there has been mix-ups. There are times where bloodliners purposely have hid themselves among non-bloodliners because they want to walk away. There are times where bloodliners they have hybrids, so they may be a makeup of several species, and they can cloak their DNA. You may not know their epigenetics or their DNA just from looking. That's why they talk about the Nigerians, right? They got ghost DNA. Nobody knows how to crack their DNA. It's literally not even found on this world. It's not all Nigerians. It's a certain tribe in Nigeria, right? They have ghost DNA. Same thing with Black American DNA. They want to lie. They try to make it seem like they cracked all of our DNA. They only understand like 0.3%. And so like there's certain even when we've been talking about like we talk about haplogroups and all these things and mitochondria, DNA, and all this stuff. There is some technical truth to being able to objectively see things within DNA, but that science on planet Earth is so primitive, and I have to say, they don't truly understand that. That's why they don't understand how they can, the deal, the kryptonite of the melanated people. They can't really, what's the kryptonite of the melanated people? We try not to, what's going, They want to understand those things, and even in other certain bloodlines. But I have to say that the bloodliner thing is a real thing. Sometimes people have bought their way into the bloodline. They are not of the bloodline, but they paid their way into a bloodliner to be looked at as a bloodliner, as a descendant of the 125D dragon riders, and also the Naga beings that have a role, in setting up the structures of planet Earth, and well as some of the fallen angels. There's people that have literally bought birthrights. They had to pay off the other royal, they say the kings of certain people in their tribe that they knew. That's what slavery was. That's what the transatlantic slave trade and the Pacific slave trade was about, guys. But yeah, they've been doing this for, I mean, it's so deep. And now we really, I'm going to really shut up because But yes, people have bought their way to be a bloodliner. Just try to swipe certain people's birthrights and shit off of them. That's why there's so many Black Americans that think they some niggas in the hood or whatever. And that's why they always obsess. They always coming to us. They always obsessing over us. They always want to be around. Everybody copying us. Everybody want to know what we doing and studying what our strategies and what we got going on. And they always looking at us. It's a reason for that. Oh yeah. Good God. But yes, bloodliners. And it does transcend race and gender, of course. It does transcend race of bloodliners because obviously through all of the mixing and obviously the Moors in Europe for 800 years and the Moors getting exiled and losing the Jacobite Wars in Spain and coming into America and into Jamaica and the Caribbeans. Moors coming from Ireland, Moors coming from Normandy and the Moorish Masons setting that whole American infrastructure up. Some of them were already looking white and some of them were still black. Skin, melanated skin. You got that set up. Obviously, the interaction between the Moors and American Indians going back for thousands of years, even Hebrew Sephardic Moors and Sephardic Indians before the white man even got in the picture, going back and exchanging esoteric knowledge. American Indians have their own form of masonry. So this is deep stuff when we talk about bloodliners, non-bloodliners, or whatever. Again, there are people that have took oaths into the bloodline through pacts with those entities, promising to serve those entities for the rest of their life. And there's ways. So I say this to say there is some demarcation between this idea of bloodliners and non-bloodliners and how they're treated in these programs, in the Monarch program. Okay, and it's not, believe it or not, it's not based on race. It's not even based on money. Like you would think, because a person comes from such a poor background that they don't know that they're still a bloodliner. Say like a Black American like Jay-Z at Rockefeller Records, okay, and Marcy Projects, Memphis Bleak, Damon Dash. Yeah, so they knew that those were bloodliners. No matter how poor, in the projects, you don't think they know that? And so they're gonna find a way to come get your ass. They'll find a way, and so they do know. And people study. This is energetic. We're talking about powerful people that understand gematria, people that understand how to look at resonances from miles away, states away. There are people that can feel your resonance, and they're not even in the same country as you. And I know that because that has happened to me. No lie. I've been able to say something. Oh man, this is, and I'm saying I'm not able to pick up on other people's resonance, and they are all the way across the other way of the world. Maybe in a country, not in America, but not away across the world. But I know that there have been African priests from that have randomly, and not asking for no money, because I know you're like, oh, they were trying to scam you out of some money or something. Just randomly message me, and knowing what I was going through, say certain codes that only I would know, and say, I just want you to know that we good. We hear you. We got you. We they can literally feel it. I feel your energy. I feel your energy. And I don't know why I'm feeling your energy. I want nothing from you. I just want to let you know that we see some things that's going on. That has happened to me before. And so I know that there's very gifted people on this planet that can do that type of shit. And so at the top levels of the government, yes, they can feel, they know who coming in through the constellations, what souls and gematria is going to line up, who the fuck coming in this damn portal, and who got what resonances and what energy marker they coming in with. They already know that. And so it's not based on race, and it's not based on money, as far as at the highest levels, as far as bloodliner or non-bloodliner. Okay. Most of the people will be NPCs. They create a structure where they divide and conquer you by race and by this and by class and by but they all behind the scenes is one brotherhood, one sisterhood, one family. And they see each other as a family. Okay. And so when it comes to who becomes a bloodliner, I'm not even who becomes a bloodliner, but who gets put in these Monarch programs, sometimes it's nefarious. Sometimes it's literally a motherfucker holding their end of their bargain to jump a timeline shift in this dimension, because they know they can't leave planet Earth anyways, because they are bloodliners. They took an oath. And so sometimes they just throw their kid in, and they know their kid gonna be some famous, as Michael Jackson was a Monarch bloodliner. I mean, actually, I think I'm making this stuff up. I think I'm playing around. Look at this. This is a beautiful album cover too. Michael Jackson's album cover. Michael Jackson was an octave. He was an octave. I'm not going to get into octaves and resonances, but he was an octave. How do I get this big? I want y'all to be able to see this big as hell on your screen. Okay, maybe that's a little big. That's a little big. Look at this. Monarch. He letting you know who he is. Look how he's dressed, and look at the Monarch butterfly right on his fucking shoulder. Monarch crown. Look at the angels. Black and white angel. I told you black and white means something different in the interdimensional realm, spiritual realm. It don't mean the same thing as you do on planet Earth with race. So when you see Kanye West wear White Lives Matter shirt, It didn't mean what you thought it meant. Okay? Now look at this star right here in that camera. Sarah, what is the film that makes the camera that makes a star as above, so below? You study the way a camera is made with light and refractions and prisms and the film of the camera itself, how it mimics the same chemicals that make up the stars. It is all esoteric. The way that a camera is made, and study the way stars and then Hollywood is shaped. But you see that camera right here, and that right hanging from that star, you see Michael Jackson's face behind that star. This man knows some shit. Thriller. You see his shadow side, his demons standing behind him in Thriller. They're the ones that look like the face with the demons. Thriller. Thriller of the night. And look at the lyrics. He's throwing cold, nothing but cold out here. Look at this in the bottom. Africa. With that star going upside down, divine feminine, Africa, black woman, upside down pentagram. It's heavy codes with that. It does not mean it is a reverse engineered thing that they did on planet Earth. It is botched occult science. I will admit that, but some orders just look at it as the divine feminine. There is some orders that see that, and that is, again, it is botched. Don't get me wrong, but he's throwing code just after code, just after code, just after code. We see, like, it's unbelievable. Now look at this. Any okay? Everybody know the deep codes, and I know some of my sisters, they already know about the Annie okay video in Archangel Michael. You got Archangel Michael, okay, right by this monarch butterfly. But then, and you have to be advanced to follow me. You need at least 15 years in the occult sciences to even follow where I'm going with this. I don't have time to break all this stuff down. You have to know these codes already. So I do have to say, this is not, at this point, this is not for just beginners. But when you study the insides of that camera, when you take a picture of that camera, that flash of that light, and the way the camera is made, mimicking the eye and light and Lucifer, and you see this star right here, and you see him looking at his face is in the stars, his face is in the heavens, is in the sky, and he's as above so below. See that flash of that camera? It's a double entendre. You see the flash of the star, but the camera's flash too, and then you see him coming more forward dissension into the 3D realm as Michael Jackson. And he was put in the Monarch program. He dealt with SRA though. Now he's a bloodliner, and they still put his SRA. So bloodliners do get SRA. They do. Not all of them though. I didn't get no SRA. Not in that way. I mean, it was, you do little dissociative techniques of trauma where you don't see the way. I can't even get into that. It's too much. How do I say this? Because not the levels of trauma induced in SRA. The SRA is just obviously the extreme. It's just the extreme of the extreme. I ain't never go do nothing like that. You know what I mean? We're talking about, and I'm not saying, I'm just saying as a warded state, and certain things that I know that I can reflect on. I have suspicions to think that I may have been a project of one of these programs because I was in foster care for an abnormal amount of time, 3 years. But we were with one foster mother who ended up adopting us. And me doing the genealogy of both of my bloodlines, the adopted and biological, knowing that there's ties to military, knowing that they're both my adopted and biological family are Masonic, paternal and maternal bloodlines of generations of Masonry, including studying the surnames in the coat of arms of my biological side, going all the way back damn near 1,000 years. We do know at least 6 generations in America, and then we start to see it flips back into Europe. Now people can say, oh, that's because of the white people, the slave owners, and all. Y'all let them tell y'all that history. And we already told y'all that when they lost them Jacob Wars, all those Moors, where did they go? Where did you think they went? They left Spain and left Ireland and came to America. And they did set up shop here, and they did enslave American Indian and African And they did enslave, they even enslaved white Irish. White Irish was lower than them over here, the white Irish. And so, yeah, they don't tell you about the 8 first presidents for a reason, you know? And not everybody has this story. I'm not saying all Black Americans have this story at all. I can only talk about what I saw in my genealogy and what my ancestors came in my motherfucking dreams and told me. They was sinking like a canary. Multiple ancestors at that. Multiple. Singing like a canary, say, this is where we came from, this is what we did, this is da, showing me coats of arms, showing me all these type of regalia. And I went and had to go ask people in the 3D realm, and they confirmed it. I'm like, oh my gosh. Now some stuff they can't confirm because it was stuff like about, some of them coming from, certain islands and stuff. They're just telling me their story. Some of these ancestors just want to tell me their story. But I know they gave me that tea on that stuff, that Moorish shit. Because we always knew, Black Americans, they talk about it, but you be thinking they, like when we were hearing about the Hebrew Israelites and all that, they make that sound so clownery and it's so infiltrated, and so it makes it sound kind of ridiculous. But there is some truth in a lot. That stuff don't just come out of nowhere, and it's not everybody's story though. Not all Black Americans is no Hebrew Israelite. Not all Black Americans are Moors. There are Moors that have Sephardic that are Hebrew. There are Moors that are Hebrew. Like it is what it is. There are American Indians that are Hebrew. And so I can't put that jacket on all of us though. I can't put that jacket on all of us. I just, like we say, not everyone came from transatlantic slave trade. Not everybody. There's a lot of Black Americans that say they found that African ancestry. They found they know their oral histories of somebody coming off a boat and stuff like that. There's different stories. And so it is a multifaceted history. It's not just one his story. It's a mystery, as Sun Ra would say. So those who understand Sun Ra's teachings, what mystery means, and then you know what his story means. And so they try to tell us his story and give us all this blanket ass, all nappy-headed niggas from Africa that got off the boat, and just slaves. Come to find out, there was a Pacific slave trade. There was American Indian slave trade. They had brought slaves over from damn East Asia, India, the Dravidians. They was bringing up, they snatched up some of them Aboriginal Australians and brought them over here, and vice versa, and put us over there, vice versa. They done brought motherfuckers from Fiji. They brought motherfuckers from Panama. There are records. There's literally like documentation of this. Now, if you want to say, oh, it got to be peer review, we got the peer review. I got the articles from JSTOR, Sage publication. The scholars know what that is. You can't come at me with all that. I'm not no liquor store scholar. No, I do this. And so, yes, we got all the records from JSTOR, primary sources, slave narratives, all types of stuff. The WPA published slave narratives of every state that has slavery. I know where to go and find that research. I've read these documents. I've read where there was slave narratives of people saying, yeah, they were from a specific Indian tribe and they ended up getting lost from their tribe. They were sold into slavery. And they was making a demarcation between, the African and the Indian. There are records, there's slave narratives of this. And then there's some that say, they know that, they're from Africa and all this. They mention Africa. And so this history is multifaceted. This history is very multifaceted. It's not just one story. And so when I talk about Sephardic Moors and Black Phoenician nobility and stuff, I'm not putting that on all Black Americans. Now, are we all mixed up? Do we have all different types of multiple, when we do our genealogy, don't we see different, we may see white ancestors, you may see some Black ancestors, you may see stuff that from literal tribes and stuff, Indian tribes. Yes, we see all that. That's why we talked about the admixture thing, multi-generationally mixed, which is what Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston was saying. They didn't go by Black. They went by multi-generationally mixed, because when they did their genealogy, and these are bougie Negroes, so they did their genealogy, and they started seeing all these different things. They saw that they had Cherokee. They saw that they had white. They saw that they had Moors. They saw that they had African. They saw all these things. So they said, well, shit, I'm just multi-generationally mixed. Fuck it. I'm not saying we need to say all that, but there are plenty of us that would fall in that category objectively, with admixture or amalgamation of various ethnicities. We could say that too. And then there's others that don't go with that. They just go by Black, whatever. That's your business. But as far as this bloodliner stuff, And as far as we see Michael Jackson, and you see the monarch butterfly, and you see that crown on his head, and you see even the symbols of the crown. You see, like it's all there in front of you. This is a person that knows exactly who he is. Now, did he break it? On some levels, yes. Some levels, no. But he played that game and won, and very few people do. And he was bred as a super soldier to be the best world's entertainer, a super soldier. Um, but he ended up once again going rogue on some level and going against the grain in terms of how he ended up owning half of Sony and owning Beatles catalog and shit and Lady Gaga's catalog, all this shit he ended up owning. He had debt, but I mean he has I think his estate is now worth like 2.5 billion now, even in death. Most influential artist of all time, the best, one of the best, if not the best. It's very hard, I mean, what we got: Prince, we got motherfucking Beyonce, we got Prince. I mean, you don't really have. You got James Brown, of course. Marvin Gaye is something else too. Marvin Gaye was a monarch, and James Brown, but yeah, because a lot of times, some of monarch has like a very negative connotation because there are those in the Project Monarch that see them as just slaves. Some that just see them as slaves or goyim, and for the non-bloodliners. But there are bloodliners that are not looked at as goyim, but they still looked at as slaves for the system to serve the satanic system. And so there's a very negative connotation. But then you have to assess the actual productivity, the value of the Project Monarch program, in the sense that it was an utter and complete failure, but not for the reasons that you may have wanted it to fail. This was a program that was supposed to churn out super soldiers for the system, for their system, or you were going to be a sacrifice. It was either one or the other. You're a sacrifice, or you are a super soldier for the system. Would that be in the entertainment industry, the politics, or the occult, or massive influencer in some way, or you were going to be in Illuminati trafficking humans and drug cartel and shit. Yeah, that's what it is. And so when we see Andrew Tate say some of the things he say, with his father being CIA, and his family being background in military and Masonic bloodline, when he says you should have just left me as control opposition, it's because he's a monarch.
I didn't want to destroy you. You should have kept me as controlled opposition. I would have been on your side. I would have created my.
And so when you see, 30 cars worth 30 million, 34 cars with $30 million, and they want to come in and confiscate all of his cars, right? So they wanted to come, trying to see if I could find that one where he talked about it. So they wanted to confiscate, recently all his cars got confiscated, and they coming up with new charges on him. They're pretty much going that hard at Andrew Tate. They're saying that he's been messing with minors and he's doing all these things and whatnot. And so they want to put him on blast, and they've been fucking with him for a couple of years now. And you probably wonder, okay, it's because he's breaking the matrix and he's going against the grain. He's calling them out or whatever. That's not entirely the case. Some of it has to do with that. But we have to understand that he was controlled opposition, as he admitted. He was a part of them. He was a part of their system. And now he was more underground on some intelligence type shit. Trafficking. Some of it legal. Some of it pushing the boundaries. And a conundrum is whether he was doing this stuff legally or illegally. And this is the things they're trying to get him up on. But my thing is, they trying to sacrifice him because they gave him what he has. Now, y'all could say, oh, he we know that them bloodline. Oh man, come on! I sometimes I'm like, am I losing people because I already know that most people don't even know about the stuff I be talking about. But yes, we know at the top there's been trafficking going on. You could in that yeah, come and look at Epstein, $80 million island and all this shit. Epstein trafficking, bloodliner. So this is the thing. P Diddy getting caught, bloodliner, trafficking, accused rather, allegedly, right? But all these people getting accused of somehow being involved in trafficking and ties to the CIA, of course. But yes, this is deep. And so uh let me make sure because I know we're going deep and I want to make sure that but my sound is still on. Okay. Let me clear some of this library up so I can make sure that this gets a full recording. Damn, I don't know if I want to get rid of that yet. Matter of fact, let me just download it first and then get rid of it. Here we go. Okay. But here we go. Okay. But yeah, Andrew Tate, you know, this what's happened with him is the fact that he's going rogue. It's just as simple as that. Now, they can't control him. They lost control over him. And that's why he, even when you hear him talking, he said, "You should have just left me alone. I would have done anything." And they know um, that he was a part of the system. That's why he calls himself Top G and throw all the mudras out there, the Mason mudras. But they're not Mason mudras. Masons use those ancient mudras, but as he's getting arrested, he always shows. Let me see if I could actually find what I'm trying to show you guys. Andrew Tate. Okay. Okay, so he throws the mudras up and whatnot. And these mudras are used by other orders, but they're not the owners or the creators of these mudras. And so he throws a lot of code. There's even a lot of numerology that he uses, where if you're paying attention, he pretty much will communicate to you what type of time he's on. That could be through the programming, or it could be he's aware of it. Which I think on some level he's aware of it because he has been able to glitch their system, which is easy to glitch their system. People glitch their system all the time. But if you're a part of their system and you glitch it, and then you go publicly teaching other people how to do it, or you publicly talk about it, and you come at them and you attack them or you come at them, then they're going for you. And that's all this is when it comes to Andrew Tate. They're coming for him because he was a part of their shit. He was their controlled opposition and he went rogue. And even if he does want to go and do his own thing and break the matrix and talk about those things, that may be a genuine interest of his. But then you can't eat the devil's pie and then talk shit. You can't bite the hand that feeds you. And so that's why they came after him with, taking all them cars. And I think they just raided. I want to find it. They just raided the shit out of his house again. And they just confiscated 34 cars worth $30 million. Now, what has he actually done to even get some $30 million worth of cars? Now, granted, yes, he did trafficking. You make money. He made money doing trafficking. Now, whether it was legal, but people say the cam girl stuff was legal. Yeah, maybe so. Shit, maybe so. I don't know. But, they're gonna dick him around. They're gonna dick him around because they can't control him anymore. And somebody has said if he's guilty of all those crimes, when they have him convicted and incarcerated, why just take the car? Something isn't added up. And that's true to an extent because they're taking the cars because they working on an underground way that y'all don't. Yeah, like Orlando Brown was saying, it's two worlds that are separate, two separate worlds, and nobody knows about it. It's literally two separate worlds. Like you're not following orders. You're not following what is the part of the agenda. You're going against us, and so we're coming to take the cars, and we're going to look for something to get you on. They be scaring him. They be fucking with him. They have not given him a speedy trial. They have not been clear on the charges and what they report in the media. That's true. They're a lot of the times they are dicking him around, and they are accusing. They gonna put his stuff out there when they doing the same shit. But they have the power, so they can make him look crazy. They can make him look like the villain. He probably probably did do some of the things that they're even saying he did. But they are just as guilty because they are in bed together. But he's the Monarch project, and so they're terminating their project. They gave you that influence. Don't nobody just get that level of influence and they not in control of that. And at this level, people get their shake and people do what they do. Don't get me wrong. They're talented people, right? But we're talking about this type of thing. This screams Project Monarch all over it. You can't even tell by the way he talks. Like this is a military project all day. It's just so obvious. They lost control. They lost control. They have no control over this person anymore. It is like they lost control over Kanye West. They lost control. They lost control over Michael Jackson. That's why he knew, and like he knows that there was an original Monarch mentalism. That this was not the original version. SRA and MK Ultra and all this shit that you see on planet Earth is a botched version of occult sciences, a reversed engineered occult sciences that is fucked up. And so he, in his own studies and his own teachings, his own research, probably figured that out on his own. I can tell just from his album cover that he figured out a lot. He figured out a lot that most people will never, ever, 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 ever figure out. Just one of a kind human. And he communicates in as much code as he can for those that get to that level. And of those that get to that level, if they're sworn under secrecy, they ain't gonna tell you shit. And so this is he is communicating to his ilk. 33 years, those and beyond. He is speaking to his people that can understand all this shit in the background, all these codes in the background. That's why he made himself dress like a royal, black royalty, with a monarch butterfly. And so people would say, oh, well, he's mind controlled, he's this, that, he's that. Sometimes people do be motherfucking mind controlled. Some people break their fucking programming. Some people really get up there. Michael Jackson broke his. I don't think he was as braggadocious as other motherfuckers. Or like say how like Kanye West just was out there just, how he do. He ain't out there just like that. Or how Prince will push it. Prince also broke his shit. But if you win the game, that's what it's designed to do. And so with Andrew Tate and even Candace Owens. I'm not coming at Candace or anything. I'm just saying, like, I've noticed what this looks like. They can't control these people anymore. That's why trying to say that Candace Owens is crazy now. They're trying to say she's because she's speaking out against. She woke some shit up about that Franken stuff. And here's the thing, I know she's not lying. I took a class on Judaism at Georgia State, at graduate school. And no lie, they told us about that story with that janitor, and they literally in an article that I read from JSTOR, graduate level peer review article, they made it seem like that black janitor killed that lady, they killed that teenager, killed that kid. That's how it was told to me. That's literally what we walked away knowing. And so for her to wake that up and bring them facts and them details of what was really happening in that case, and her to call out other things and the things that they had been doing, at Daily Wire and whatnot. Now they want to say she's all crazy and all this stuff, but y'all had built her up to all that influence. You don't think that they was in control of that? That's why she's breaking free of it. And now they coming at her. Oh, she's crazy. Oh, she needs an evaluation. Oh my gosh, why is she speaking out like that? But they lost control. She went on her own platform and got her, is doing her thing. you know, and it's not a coincidence that her and Kanye is friends and whatnot, because the same thing happened to Kanye. And every time you start speaking out a little, even just an ounce of the damn motherfucking truth, now you crazy, and now they want to harm you, and now they want to take back their influence and take back they get real, you know how they did Kanye. And so yes, Kanye is also Project Monarch. He's a bloodliner. And same thing with Andrew Tate. And so they lost control, and now they're looking for something to bring them down. That's what they do. And with his influence, he has people that really that's gonna rock with him. And so they kind of careful. They kind of being sloppy because they don't quite have, I guess, what they're looking for to get the outcome that they want. And so they dicking him around. They just dicking him, you know. And my thing is, if he did those things, he probably did do some of it, for sure. They did it too. They allowed him to do it. They knew he was doing it and paid him to do it. The same people that's coming after him. And now, because they can't control him, and because he said, now you shouldn't have fucked with me. You shouldn't. And I know how it would be like that. Once you break that program in, like he said, I break the matrix. I mean, people overbreak the matrix all the time. They just don't talk about it. They don't just teach your ass nothing and keep it to themselves. And so in that regard, him talking about it and him coming at them, that lets you know that he went rogue on some level. That is now it's becoming no longer he's controlled. He was controlled opposition, but they don't have him as controlled opposition anymore, is what I'm saying. And so once those type of things happen, then they try to go and look to see, well, we gonna put out whatever dirt you did. Most of the time they really did do the dirt. Sometimes it's just complete utter lies. You know? And when the media go after you and when they try to bring you down. But now they want to confiscate and do the raids. And they took 34 cars. They took all these cars, $30 million worth of cars. This come from the trafficking. Legal cam girl, whatever, however you want to say it. It's still set. It's that industry, whether it's legal or not. That was the industry that he was in. You make good money in porn business and all that. There's good money in that. Everybody already know that. Whether you see it as ethical or not, he was a part of the establishment. He was working for them folks. He is a monarch. And he went rogue and he can't be controlled anymore. And he's trying to show other people codes and other people's T8 spy. So he do all these mudras and stuff and calling himself top G. Read between the lines. And a lot of men, they idolize us. They want to be this. They want that. They don't know what it's all about. And they don't know how the divine feminine, even though he want to call himself top G and all this generative principle, comes from the female. And electromagnetism. And so, again, you're going to be held to it. You're going to be held to it. You're going to use calling yourself the top G. You're going to be held to it. Andrew Tate. So you better go and get you some protection. Some spiritual protection. I'm not talking about earth. He's too earth-based for me. He's too earth-based. I know a lot of people, they like what he do and they like what he say. He's not spiritual enough for me. And I know y'all think because he talk about the Matrix and all that stuff, he's way too material. He's way too into 3D for me. So, I mean, I guess y'all be impressed with that stuff. But I do know that I'm not saying he probably can see. Don't get me wrong. He probably can see. I ain't saying that he's not a powerful warlock or any of those nature. I'm not saying that. I'm not taking that from. But he too much into this 3D realm. And so he's getting all of his cars taken away because they want to fuck with him. They have not given him a speedy trial. They want to drag him out and they want to drag him back and forth and out of the court and stuff so they can. Because they got to find a way to take the influence, to take the fame and the fortune back. They got to find a way to now delegitimize him. They don't know how to, whether they say, oh, he did these things. They accuse him of certain crimes. They take away the money. They take away the ability for him to make money. They censor him. Whatever, this is the things that they're going to try to do. And he's told them it's too motherfucking late. Now, we'll see. Because I do have to say, monarchs are treated like children. Some of them are treated like slaves, and some of them are treated like children, even in a fucking 60s and 70s and 80s, because they, at this point, there are overlords of the human race. Ooh, I don't want to go that deep. The overlords, um, they 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 don't see humans on the same level as them. I'll just say it that way. Even though there are humans that can go considerably much higher than them, in consciousness and even interdimensionally, and they're just not realizing that. But when it comes to Tate, they probably did baby him, on some level. Look the other way when he was doing shit. But now that he's bucking up so much, they sending them people after him. The Monarch Project Monarch was an absolute failure. Because all of the monarchs that they trained to be the super soldiers for the satanic system, they either going rogue, crashing out, going rogue, or spilling the beans. And the Kanye West, or they don't even know. Some of them, a lot of them don't even know what the hell I'm talking about, even though those that even are affected by it, because it is a secret program, and most don't study the code and occult sciences and whatnot, and so they may not even know that they're even affected by this. But when it comes to the actual program itself, it was a complete and utter failure, because I say it was a success because how do I say this? It was a failure, but it was a failure, and it was a good thing that it failed. that's what I want to say. It was a good thing that it failed, because a lot of the Project Monarchs are very powerful, prana wise, energy wise, entity wise, and they have took on a road to speak the truth, to go rogue, to dismantle unfair systems and unjust systems. There are enough that have done it. And there are enough that are even connected to other dimensions and other realms and other higher authorities than what the ones the ones that that are beholden to this system, way more powerful than them. And so, though it was a failure, it failed for good reasons. Like, it's like what the devil means for bad, God takes it and mean it for good. That's exactly what happened in the case of a lot of these Project Monarchs. Unfortunately, a lot of lives were lost, a lot of sacrifices were made, unfair things, horrific things were done to a lot of people, a lot of violations of free wills, a lot of violations of universal law for many humans, innocent people, unsuspecting people, unaware people, And so, whether you're a bloodliner or a non-bloodliner, these things have happened. However, the super soldier element of those who were able to integrate the aspects of that high level programming, that trauma programming, maybe it was trauma, maybe you didn't have the trauma. Very few people didn't have the trauma though, but it's maybe those that slipped through the crack. Or even if you were just assigned a handler after you got your influence, and maybe you didn't go through trauma at all, say for like a Kanye West situation. Yeah, these they were able to integrate certain aspects of memory, of soul recall, enough to where they were able to align all of those archetypes into one being that is in alignment with their oversoul and their higher self, and realize and break the matrix and break the programming and realize, like, okay, this is some bullshit. Like, these things aren't right. I'll speak out on this. I'll do this. I don't need a handler. I don't need y'all motherfuckers all in my face. I don't need y'all motherfuckers trying to control me. And they go and do their own thing. And they wake up other people. They end up influencing other people. They end up teaching other people. And they're doing it from a place of a very high vibration. I'm not saying Andrew Tate is, because I personally think he's not quite doing that yet. I'm not saying he's not capable of it. He's just not quite doing that yet. But he is still waking people up, right? He is still questioning things, getting people to question things. He's speaking out on things. And so that's the productive value of that. You got people who were able to break the matrix, their programming rather, and start to try to wake other people up. And so that's a good thing. And that is when we started the project. But the original intent of the program was to build super soldiers of influencers, politicians, workers, Illuminati workers, as well as slaves for the satanic system that's currently in place. And those that were put in, say, the Project Monarch, more of the bloodliners in terms of being either an influencer, an entertainer, or a politician, or to run the system behind the scenes itself. Enough of them have broken their programming, is what I'm saying. Enough of them have broken their programming. And they were already stars in their own right, right? Some of them even source players with source in them, God particle, enough God particle in them, or God particle completely in them. Or sometimes it was restored. But enough of them are totally online, where even like 20 of them, just 20 of them can influence the I would say, a good 2 billion people just alone, just 20 rogue monarchs, you know. And so that backfired. It was supposed to go for they were supposed to be able to influence about 2 billion for their system. But there is enough that have come online to do it for a system that benefits planet Earth, a system that benefits the universe and everyone, a system that's fair, a system that's built on a higher frequency that is based on truth, at least speaking the truth or living your truth, that is fair, teaching other people information that will actually help them, you know. And so those things are being done now. And so there's a lot of spiritual warfare. There's a lot of stuff going on. And so I'm not with Andrew Tate. I'm still I would say undecided about the productive value of the Tate, you know, the Tate, himself. I know he went rogue, and I do know he was Monarch. But we'll see. I'm trying to see where this goes. You know, it's a very big possibility that they just fucking with him because he won't play ball anymore. I mean, you know, we talk about you going to break their matrix and break this and break that and do this. They go after you. That's just common knowledge. They do that to everybody. And how we deal with that is how it builds resilience too. Does Andrew Tate got that type of resilience? We don't know yet. We do not know if he has that type of resilience to take it all the way to the max. When we talk about radical sovereignty and godhood and breaking the matrix, as he say, I don't know how resilient this man is because he's spoiled. And so we got to see how much. Read that story of Job. How much can he motherfucking take? Because there's not too many bloodlines that can do that. I know my bloodline is capable of walking the fuck away, walking away to your motherfucking ass ain't got nothing but a pair of shoes, one motherfucking pair of pants on, one shirt, and one and shoes with holes in them, and your ass ain't got. They take everything away when you break your oath, when you walk away. And if you're too powerful, they can't kill you. They can't kill you, but they will take everything away. You will not get a job. You will not. You got money, your credit card won't work. You will not be able to open up a bank account. You won't get shit. You won't even be able to buy a car by the time they're done with you. You won't get a card. You won't get nothing. They won't hire you. They won't have nobody rent to you. This is the type of thing that they are, and most of them crack and they end up folding and going back to being controlled opposition or going back into their system. That's how they get you. That's how they control you. They want to know how much you say you a god, you say you broke the matrix, you say you broke your monarch programming, you say you ain't a slave, you did da. Okay, human, we gonna test that. So we take away the complete system away from you. And how enlightened are you? How spiritual are you? How much do you really not care about this matrix? Let's see. And very few bloodlines can do that. Even if you are a bloodliner. Most bloodliners end up folding and cracking and going back into their shit. There's very few that will take them hits like that, hit after hit. Some of them don't know how to create their own opportunities. Now, some of them, we take hits after hits and hits, and we'll go and create our own. So we'll find a way. We'll find a way to take care of ourselves. But I know if at least somebody in my bloodline that I know walked away completely. And they didn't know how to create them type of opportunities when you can't even you can't even get a bank account. They won't hire you, won't rent you an apartment, won't, and you don't have nothing, and you won't have nothing if you're a part of their system and you break that oath. And they'll tell everybody else, you get blacklisted, you get blackballed, so nobody will work with you, not one soul. And everybody will, and they'll know. And you got to take that. And I'm telling you, I only know of one person in my life that have ever done it. Only one. Besides Jesus, only one other person. And that person happens to be in my bloodline. It happened to be related to him. Very few people could take them hits like that, man. That shit ain't no joke. And that just a little bit that I went through, I was willing to go to the max, but I was like, just that little bit, just a little bit, the taste that they gave me. That's like how Cat Williams be telling you how, like, remember when he came after them and they smacked his ass all around, and he said, you know, I ain't joining y'all, but I respect it. They end up locking that motherfucker up, taking his kids. You ain't making no money. They take your house. They take it. These motherfuckers don't play. And so we'll see how spiritual was Andrew Tate. Is he gonna forward and go back and be a bitch for them people, or did he really break the matrix and become a god? Or I mean, that's too deep for y'all for me to be talking like that. And become, did he really break the matrix and ascend his soul? We'll see. We'll see. You know. And some people, you have to, if you don't know how to create them opportunities, you know, some people get lucky. You get a Michael Jackson here and there. You even get, I mean, I have to say, I'm a lucky motherfucker. Very, very, very grateful and thankful for my righteous ancestors for God. Very, 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 very grateful and thankful. But just that little bit. And I had said, we talking about super soldiers for Latter-day Saints and super soldiers for God. I mean, that's a real thing too. And you have to take it because you have to know what's the den of iniquity. I won't say iniquity. You got to know who run this system, who got control over planet Earth right now. You better know that shit. And you go down here on this planet, and we are trained to deal with hits like that because we already came in knowing. That's why I practice minimalism and stoicism, and I don't value a lot of materialism anymore. And that's why I say I can't afford to be materialistic, knowing the way I talk and knowing the way I carry on and the knowledge that I know and the gifts that I have. I can't afford to be a materialistic motherfucker because then I'm risking spiritual death. But we are trained. Like, we don't care what it is. You take your motherfucking ass under a damn tree outside and meditate in that sun and practice our rainbow method and evaporate your man. We are trained. Like, we don't play that. You have to take that hit to the very last. Andrew Tate, I don't see that in him. And honestly, like, even though I remember like seeing that person that I told you about, the only one person who was able to take that hit like that, and they in my bloodline. I remember like when he noticed things that was going on with these artists, obviously in this industry or whatever. I remember when we were with Kanye West, and I remember being so impressed and over enthusiastic with Kanye. And I remember he was just looking like he gonna go back. He not gonna take them hits like that. Like, you gotta go to the max if you talking about you really for God or you really for your, whatever you do, however, whatever you feel, you don't became enlightened, you don't became ascended master, you don't believe in God, whatever it is. Like, they gonna push that to the max once you put that out there. So with Kanye West, he wanted to see, like, okay, I think he did it. I think he took them hits pretty well, but then I don't know. We don't know what's all behind the scenes. We don't know these people's lives like that. And so he could have even been replaced. He might have took them hits all the way to death. Seriously. Where they got his motherfucking ass replaced. For those who know, shout out to Dick Gregory. But, and a lot of artists have, believe it or not. So that's why you can't really judge a lot of these people too much, because a lot of them have taken hits all the way to the death. Okay. Shout out to Prince. Okay. They would take a hit because they not going to buckle and fold on their soul. They not going to buckle and fold on principles and what the fuck they know is right and what the hell they know is wrong. And they going to speak out on it. They going to buckle down on the truth to the very death. They going to fall on their sword for truth and justice and enlightenment, And so we'll see that about Andrew Tate. But Andrew Tate, he may be able to flip the game on them. He may be able to create opportunity even when they have came against him so hard and blacklisted him so hard and blackballed him so hard. Some people will still be able to create an opportunity from them, even if they got to pivot from what they was originally doing and talking about. They're gonna find a way to create. They're gonna find a way out of no way. They're gonna create a way. No matter how bad it get. They don't care. You took the last shoe. You took the shoes off my motherfucking feet. You done took every car, every house, and froze my baby house. We still gonna go. We gonna find a motherfucking way. And see, we are trained on that. From 125D. Anybody from 125D and Dragon Riders, oh, we train. We TTG. And so, because we know it's a spiritual, we know the system that we got. Like when you come down on planet Earth, it depending on the bloodline that you come from, the packs that you got, and the shit you got to clean up in your ancestral generational traumas, and the shit you got to clean up. Some of you being literally born into a fucking war zone. Anybody that they got family in the military and intelligence and Masonic and them took satanic oaths and shit, you was born into a motherfucking war zone, spiritual war zone. And so before you come onto this ether, yeah, you don't made some agreements and said, God, look, I need A, B, and C. We need training. I can't just go down on that damn on planet Earth like that and knowing what the shit they got going on down there. They got child trafficking going on down there. They got all types of crazy ass shit that they got. They fighting wars and shit, physical wars based on race and religion and shit. Like these people are so primitive. Like you can't just send me down there and I don't got no motherfucking protection and I got to take hit after hit after hit like that. I need training. I said, okay, I want to train him. You can get your motherfucking training. And so a lot of us are trained. A lot of these entities that you see running around, humans running around, especially if we knew we was going to be dismantling a fucking something from the inside out on interdimensional levels. We born in fucking Monarch, knowing that our family going to sell us into a Project Monarch, or we going to be in a foster care system and all this shit as a little ass kid and shit. You need spiritual training. You got to remember your training. And so a lot of these Project Monarchs, some of it ends in disaster, and some of it is truly a blessing. Some of these people are children of God still. You don't know someone's story, and some people really did do some fucked up shit, and they try to redeem themselves by speaking out on the truth and changing their ways and doing other things, trying to wake other people up, help other people. Some people really did do some fucked up shit, and some people were groomed into that lifestyle, like SRA. SRA was done to them. They do SRA to other people. They do SRA. We have to talk about the generational programming too. That's a real thing. Generational. Sometimes you may not have even been in Project Monarch, but your epigenetics, say your mother or your father was, that programming will still be on you. Just so you know, them entities from that will still be on you. I didn't never go to no SRA, but you say your parents went through SRA, boom, that stuff jumped right on you. You're still carrying that trauma. And so you still end up breaking one day or having memories of ancestors, having memories all throughout your epigenetics of shit that's going on, or you may open up a dimension and be able to see what the fuck they doing all up at the elite level and all this stuff, and you ain't even want to see all that and ask for that shit or know what the hell going on with the occultists and all that shit. I ain't want to see all that shit. I ain't know nothing all that's about, but I had to see it for my own edification and awareness of what moves I needed to make, or what was my next the generational curses and things that I needed to break. Right. And so this is the thing, Andrew Tate, they about to put you through the ringer. Let's see how strong you are. Let's see how spiritual you are. Create your own, you got enough influence where you can create your own opportunities now. There are people where they have the same gematria and same, obviously prana as you, and they never get those people a shake because they already can't even really chance it, because it's they won't even let them get that level of influence, because they can never chance them to be able to create that opportunity. So there are people, and I've seen it. I can see it now. I can see what was going on with people, right? And you can see, or they stifled their spirit so much, even though they got the sauce. They got the sauce, and they will fuck with them so bad. They won't even allow them to get a 1% influence over these people, because if they did, what they would do and the hits they would take will be on that Yeshua level, and they just don't want that no more. That's why you won't see another, like you notice in the industry, like they don't really have a lot of talented people coming out anymore. You're not going to see another Beyonce. You're not going to see another Michael Jackson. You're not going to see another Kanye West. You're not going to ever see that again. That's why they put in an investment in Monarchs like a Sexy Red. And people keep saying, "Oh, Sexy Red is a CIA plan." She doesn't work for the CIA, but I mean, she's probably programmed by them. And that's the level that they going to. They're not about to allow no Michael Jackson to slip through no motherfucking crack like that no more. They don't want. They want untalented people that's completely mind controlled. That's going to do whatever they say. That's going to completely that has no talent really, because they can control them better. People with talent and gifts and intelligence, you really can't control their light. You have to have NPCs. You have to have homunculus, and they realized that. They said, well, we really can't build up another Beyonce like that because, I mean, for one, these motherfuckers go rogue. Two, they'll know, the world will know they're talented. And so then they can demand more, and that they can demand more and be more and think more of themselves because of that. But if we put the influence behind a beta controlled, fucked up DNA NPC and put the programming on them and get up, and we know they ain't really talented, but it don't matter. They ratchet. They gonna promote the fucked up ass agenda that whatever we need them to promote. We'll put the weight on that. They can't demand more because they're not really talented. They have to do what we say because or else it's back to the ghetto. You go. This is what they're doing now. They ain't trying. You ain't gonna ever see another motherfucking James Brown. You ain't gonna ever see. They gonna be in existence. You just not gonna hear of them because they not gonna get the mic. They have to create their own opportunities. They're not gonna get the backing of their system. I'm not gonna get the backing of their system. And if I told you the level of what my programming was for, just from the way I talk and the information that I know and the knowledge I know, as much as they want to delegitimize me, but anybody can read my information, hear the way I talk, study my codes, I mean, it's like you were going to talk about top G. I mean, man, I seen some shit on the interdimensional. Sometimes I kind of like, man, I wish I would have never spoke out about breaking or my programming. And sometimes I wish I just would have shut up for a couple more years because like when I saw like astro traveled into the future and saw like what my programming and the end goal and what they would, as far as me being in the foster care program and the government being all invested in, and me watching me and all that. I was like, damn. I saw it. I was like, shit. Oh my gosh, Now people, when you're in a different dimension and then you're still in 3D, you have to be careful about what you say. You have to be very careful about what you say, especially on fucking Twitter. But yeah, I saw that and I was like, whoo, and I couldn't handle it. And then at the time you do kind of lose time lag. And so that time lag, you're not aware of that time lag because you're done quantum leap so far, but you're still on motherfucking 3D, you're still on the physical body. And so you got to bring your motherfucking ass on down and kind of, for those that end up breaking their programming. But yeah, I would have just kept, I'm like, I'm gonna find a way to get my birthright because it's a birthright, and I know I know it's a birthright, and my gematria proves it, my bloodline proves it. It's a birthright, and so I'm like, they just wanted to be able to control it though. Put all the handles around you whenever you act up. They just drug you and you say you crazy and all shit. They wanted to do that, and so you can't do that with these monarchs no more. And they bloodliners and their heirs. You cannot do that shit to them type of people. Them people are always going to break their program. Them people are protected by God. You can't. It's same with me. You cannot do that. That's crazy. You cannot think you can control someone else's source like that or the sauce. It's soul. You can't control someone else's soul like that, and that's a being that comes from a primordial creation. And a lot of us knew it was part of the recognizant mission of what it was to begin with. So a lot of the people y'all was conjuring, y'all sit up there was practicing this Project Monarch shit and dealing with entities and shit y'all don't even understand. Putting these spirits on these humans and putting these spirits on people. And the spirits that you put on people never fucked with your agenda in the first place. They never liked anything that y'all was doing down here. So you literally put us like a Hanuman on a Project Monarch, or a Kali Ma or a Shiva on somebody. This is what they do, and in Project Monarch they put entities. Again, MK Ultra is a combination of demonology, radionics, psychotronics, but also monarch mentalism in the other sense where it's not, because I don't want you to think that these entities that I named are demons that are not, but it's not just demonology either. It's I would say that more that fits under the realm of psychotronics and radionics, but it's a little bit different. That's like zygote churning more so. That's more under the lens of that zygote churning of creating like a chimera or something. But let me make sure my sound is still on. Okay, but yeah, that's deep stuff. You sit there dealing with you go put them type of energies on someone, a primordial spirit on someone, in a womb, and try to conjure them up to thinking that you're gonna be able to handle them and MK Ultra them and make them and handle them for all their life and control them, and those entities never fucked with you or your system. And so yeah, they was gonna wake their motherfucking ass up. You're sitting there putting Tahuti on people and shit, and yeah, you gonna wait. Somebody, some way along the line, this shit gonna crack. They put see with Archangel Michael. I'm sorry, with Michael Jackson, with him, they put an octave of Archangel Michael on Michael Jackson when he was in the womb. His mother did. And so when you put a being like that on, that they're not gonna just waltz into your satanic system and just no. Mm-mm. They're gonna end up breaking, they programming, and end up finding a way to make a way for themselves. Like that's why Michael Jackson, you see this monarch butterfly right on his. He knows he's a monarch, but he is a different type. Most people will never get to that level. That's in that program. He broke that shit and was able to. I'm owning half of motherfucking Sony. I'm about to buy up all these motherfucking catalogs. I'm getting out of all my contracts. You bitches is not fucking with me. I'm completely free, and I'm about to help other artists get free too, bitch. That's what Michael Jackson was on. Okay, so then they want to bring him wacko jacko, drag him through the mud, say he crazy, make him look crazy, and there was a lot of things that he still had to undo. I wish there was some part of his programming, he still was with this white shit. You see how he bleached himself, you see how he had them damn children that weren't his, so that was the last leg of the programming. You got to get out of the race programming. You got to break that race programming. And that one is really hard. But that's the last step. That was like one of the ones. And you don't have to break all of the levels to be at a really high level. You just don't. But you can break enough, and he is one of the ones that broke enough and put the game on its head. But they were messing around with these occult sciences. And again, MK Ultra is an occult practice. It comes from the original version. It can be found in Commission Science. It can. The Book of the Dead. It can be found there, but that was where it was started to get misinterpreted and fucked up by the descendants of the fallen angels and some of the pharaohs. They didn't quite. That's where the stuff started to get messed up, to be honest. I do have to say that. But it's not even originally from them either. It was taught to them by, y'all want to go there? We'll go there. Beings from the Atlantean dimension. Those beings were from the 125D, the Order of Dragon Riders. They created the Atlantean dimension. That's how it got to, it was a dissension in interdimensionality of density to get to 3D Earth. And so then, the humans end up getting their hands on this science, but obviously all pharaohs saw themselves as demigods. All royalty see themselves as demigods. So they are related to entities. And that's why they don't see themselves as humans, and they treat humans like crap. And then some of them are Dracos from the Draco constellation, and then some of them are, some Sirius, and they are completely not even the same species as you. And so they really totally feel like you are beneath them in every way, in every step of the way. And some of the humans they do pick up, they know have the DNA mixture, they will put them in the Monarch program, but they still want to control them, their light and their source and their gifts. And some of them say no. Michael Jackson was one of them. Kanye West was one of them. Andrew Tate is trying to be one of them. Candace Owens is trying to be one of that as well. And they dragging her saying she cried. And that really just, because we have a lot of divergence on thoughts, me and Candace Owens. But I still objectively see what the fuck that they doing. I mean, this is just classic textbook. And there's a lot of people, when they listen to her, if you notice in the comment sections, people are like, is she a part? What intelligence agency does she belong to? Like, where will she work? People be thinking it because they the way she talk, it just reeks of intelligence. It just reeks. It just reeks to her aura. She may not even have no connections to that, but that could be something in her bloodline, or she could have been one of the motherfuckers in that program, a Monarch program. And usually those, sometimes they really don't have any ties to, you know, they may not even be directly involved with the military, but their family is. Somebody in her family was. Somebody in her family, you know, that just is what it is. It's a situation with me. So somebody in my family. It wasn't me, you know. But yeah, Andrew Tate, we'll see how resilient you are. How much are you gonna come against these people? Are you unrelenting, or are you gonna fold? Because once you go down that path, ain't no going back. And it's harder when they gave you the world. It's harder when you got $30 million worth of cars and to walk away completely versus someone that broke it really early on and they didn't even let them get their foot in the door, really. You know, because then that person is always used to not have, you know, of not having that. And so they can keep going the whole way because it's easier for them to go to heart. It's much harder. That's why they say that Bible, that verse in the Bible where it's much harder for a rich man. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of the needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. Now, we were talking about enlightenment, the opening of the pineal gland, the opening up the kingdom of God within, not the actual awesome heaven because somebody is rich. That's not what that meant. That was meant like it's in terms of somebody working on self-gnosis as well as the ascension of the soul to Godhood level to meet the kingdom of God within. It will be easier for a camel to go through to take their eye and go through a needle, to walk through a needle. And therefore, a rich man entered the kingdom of God. It was a code, and so that's going to be tested. And we're not talking about like in a spiritual sense, in a religious sense. Like, please don't think I'm even talking about religious. But if someone's calling themselves top G and using Shakti mudras of the divine feminine, Andrew Tate is using Shakti mudras of the Gauri Tantra system, which means he has some level of, he knows he's a wizard. But my thing is, you're using teachings of the divine feminine of an order that y'all stole knowledge from. And I call it out to this very day. I'll never stop calling it out that y'all stole that knowledge. And it's of the divine feminine. And so you sitting up there doing all this stuff and talking the way you talking, and you want to sit up there and do the Hakuni mudra and all this shit, and a Kalima mudra of the divine feminine, primordial chaos energy. Are you out of your mind? And so you want to call yourself top G, you're going to be held to it. And we want to see you get more spiritual and stop being so materialistic. Okay, so we're going to see. Now, if he has done something that is as crazy as they say he is, bring the charges and bring the evidence and get the fuck over with his trial and give him a speedy trial. If not, stop fucking with him. Take what y'all gonna take back. Let him know, nigga, you want to go against the oath. You don't want to do what we said. You're taking it back. Create your own opportunity. Take the fame back, take the cars back, money back, get the fuck on. And let him walk free. Let him go. But all this shit, y'all dragging him all through. Either y'all got the evidence to get him or y'all don't. But because y'all mad because y'all lost out on y'all asset. He's an asset. We're talking about millions and billions of dollars they about to lose all because he talking about breaking the matrix and waking them motherfuckers up and tired of fucking unfairness and tired of being ruled over by overlords. You know? So they freaking out. So they trying to scare him. They are trying to get him to get back. Like, okay, we take the cars then. We take everything. And we're going to harass you and do whatever we're going to do and try to see if you're going to crawling back. And a lot of them do crawl back. A lot of them, some of them do. And he may get often replaced, but we'll see what they do with it. We'll see. Maybe he'll crawl back. Maybe he find his own opportunity to say, fuck it, shit. You a man without money. You're a man without you. The man, money don't make you a man. Material things don't make you a man. You're a man because you're a man, because of the divine masculine. That's what it's based on. It ain't based on because you got all these fucking cars. Shit, if you a super soldier like you say you better be learning that stoicism and stoicism and minimalism, because it's about to get hard for y'all. Now you're always gonna have your fan base, or whatever. No matter how low you get, there's gonna be people that support you because they like they like the teachings and stuff. They like what you said. So you always gonna be able to create your own opportunities. It's just gonna be harder, and you have to prepare for that and be okay with that, even if it means death. If you stand on truth, like how you say you stand on truth. So if you want the protection of the primordial mother, because that's how we do. You want the protection of the primordial mother, and we'll allow you to create your own opportunities. and you won't be fucked with. You want that protection of primordial mother, you're gonna go through some. We gotta know that you a real super soldier. You want to call yourself top G, you're gonna be held to that. But we want to know how spiritual can you get? How enlightened can you get? You're doing all these motherfucking mudras of the divine feminine of my order. So we gonna see. And you will, if you a super soldier, like you say, you will get that protection. You will get that protection. Or you gonna fold. You're gonna talk about them folks and come at them folks and then fold it and go kiss their ass again. We'll see, because many people have done that. Same with you, Candace Owens. We'll see. But honestly, Candace Owens, I got a feeling she one that's gonna go to the end too. She's very strong. She will. She, believe it or not, as much as y'all say about her, she ain't gonna fold on that. She ain't gonna stop. She ain't gonna fold. She strong. She gonna come at them people to the end. Now she may curtail. She may get wiser, but you know, she ain't telling. She ain't just making up shit on them people. Man, it's a lot of unfair shit. People tired of unfairness, and it ain't got nothing to do with, you know. Come on now. Like, let's stop gaslighting motherfuckers. That shit is ridiculous. And do you go into Semitic people and try to label them anti-Semitic, but they are Semitic by blood? What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Because people can critique. Like, y'all gonna learn to take a critique now. You doing some shit you know you ain't got no business doing if you freaking out trying to censor motherfuckers and label people crazy and shit. What the fuck you hiding? What the fuck you scared of? Anytime you try to cut a man's tongue off, it says more of like that you fear that motherfucker, that you scared because you don't want your undergarments to be shown. You don't want your shadow to be revealed. Well, stop being a fake motherfucker, and the people won't have to speak the truth on you. People won't have to put you on blast if you being truthful and being real. That's where I would go. And so we'll see when it comes to Andrew Tate. Whew. Man, oh man. Mm-mm-mm. I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Has anything? I think that was it. Yep. I ain't gonna belabor my point. So talk to y'all later. Bye. Love you.